The first time my son told a doctor I was confused, he did it while I was sitting 3 feet away from him. Owen leaned forward with his elbows on his knees, hands clasped, his face arranged into the serious expression he used when returning something without a receipt. "It's not just what happened at the store," he told Dr. Shaw. "There's been a pattern." Dr. Shaw glanced at me, then back at him. "What kind of pattern?" He repeats questions. He gets dates mixed up. Thanksgiving was a whole thing, and I had a microwave delivered because his old one was practically a fire hazard, but he couldn't figure out the controls. "I could figure them out," I said. "I didn't like them." Owen exhaled through his nose. Dr. Shaw clicked her pen once. "Have you observed these things while spending time with him?" That was when I turned to my son. "When was the last time you visited me?" His mouth opened, but nothing came out. It was a simple question. Month, day, season, I would have accepted a rough estimate. Instead, he stared at me as though I had changed the locks on a house we both owned. "We talk all the time," he said. "That wasn't what I asked." The room went very quiet, except for the paper under me crackling whenever I moved. I remember thinking Owen looked frightened, not guilty, not yet, frightened. I didn't understand why until much later. 9 days before that appointment, I had gone to Barlow's Hardware for a 3/4-inch brass hinge and somehow ended up on the floor beside a display of discounted bird feeders. I did not fall. That became important to me, for reasons that were mostly pride. I lowered myself in a controlled fashion after the aisle tilted 6 inches to the left. If you've ever watched a 70-year-old man lower himself in a controlled fashion while holding a basket containing hinges, wood glue, 2 furnace filters, and a package of peppermint candies, you may use a different verb. Barlow's manager certainly did. "You collapsed," she told me. I sat down unexpectedly. On the floor, there wasn't a chair. Her name was Denise. She wore a red vest covered in enamel pins, including one that said, "Ask me about caulk," which I had always thought invited the wrong kind of conversation. She crouched beside me. "Mr. Rowan, do you know where you are? Plumbing aisle. This is seasonal." I looked up. There were bird feeders over my head and bags of grass seed stacked against the wall. "Well," I said, "that explains why I can't find the shutoff valves." Denise did not laugh. That worried me more than the tilted aisle. By then, a clerk named Lester had brought me a bottle of water. I knew Lester from the years when Barlow's was half its current size and sold loose screws from wooden drawers. He was 60 if he was a day, but he stood over me saying, "Easy, young fella, because hardware store humor has not advanced since the invention of the nail." My hands were steady. I knew my name, the date, and what I had come to buy. I also knew my shirt had gone damp between my shoulder blades and that my heart was moving too fast. Denise wanted an ambulance. I told her no. We compromised by calling the number on the emergency card in my wallet. I had made that card after Mara, my daughter, found out I carried an expired coupon for a tire rotation, where medical information should have been. Owen answered on the 3rd try. Denise stepped a few feet away, but not far enough. "Your father had some kind of episode," she said. I raised one finger. "Dizzy spell." "He collapsed in the store, controlled descent. He seems disoriented. I know where I am now." Denise turned her back on me. Owen arrived 40 minutes later in a blue button-down shirt with the sleeves rolled to his elbows. It was what he wore when he wanted people to know he had left somewhere important. He came through the automatic doors fast, scanning past the cash registers until he saw me sitting in a plastic patio chair Denise had pulled from the summer clearance section. For half a second, his face was completely unguarded. That's the part I want to be fair about. He was scared. Whatever came afterward, my son saw me pale and sweating under fluorescent lights, and fear hit him hard enough to make him look 12 years old. Then he reached me, and the fear turned into management. "What happened?" "I got dizzy." "Did you hit your head?" "No." "Did you pass out?" "No." "Did he pass out?" he asked Denise. "I don't believe so." "I was here for that portion of the afternoon," I said. Owen crouched and touched 2 fingers to my wrist, although he had no idea how to take a pulse. He stared at his watch with such concentration that I let him finish. "When did you eat?" "Today?" He looked up sharply. That was a joke. "When?" I tried to remember. "Coffee at 6:30. Another cup at 8. A peppermint in the parking lot did not seem like evidence in my favor. "I wasn't hungry. You didn't eat?" "I planned to." "What did you take this morning?" My regular pills. What else? Nothing. He kept looking at me. Cold medicine last night, I said. That nighttime stuff. How much? The recommended amount. Dad. One recommended amount. Denise looked at Lester. Lester became deeply interested in arranging batteries. Owen wanted to take me to the emergency room. I wanted to go home. We settled on urgent care because neither of us had the energy for our preferred argument. By the time a nurse called my name, the water had helped, my pulse had slowed, and I was hungry enough to consider eating the paper sheet on the examination table. The physician asked me the usual questions and a few unusual ones. I told him who the president was, counted backward by sevens, and explained why I had come to buy a brass hinge. He seemed less interested in the hinge than the cold medicine. "You're on amlodipine," he said, 5 milligrams. "And you took doxylamine last night, if that's what they put in the green bottle, with no breakfast, not much water, and possibly more than the suggested dose. I used the cup. Did you fill it to the line? There are several lines." He gave me a look that reminded me of my high school shop teacher finding cigarette ash in the varnish room. Owen sat in the corner, typing notes into his phone. The physician told me to stop taking the nighttime medicine, drink water, eat actual meals, and follow up with Dr. Shaw. Nothing in his tone suggested catastrophe. Owen's shoulders did not come down. On the drive back to Barlow's, he kept both hands at 10 and 2. "You scared the hell out of me," he said. "I'm sorry. You can't mix medications like that. I didn't mix them. I took them 8 hours apart. That is mixing them. Then every diner in America is mixing bacon and lunch. This isn't funny." The funny thing was, I hadn't thought it was funny until he said that. Owen had always made me reach for a joke when he became too serious. Even as a grown man, he could tighten the air in a car until the windows felt sealed shut. He drove past the entrance to Barlow's. "You missed it. I'm taking you home. My truck is there. I'll get it later. I need my truck. You need to rest. I can rest after I pick it up." He gripped the wheel. Why does every small thing have to become a fight? I looked out at the chain restaurants sliding by. I was about to ask you that. We rode another quarter-mile before he made a hard turn into a bank parking lot and circled back. My truck was where I had left it. Denise had put my purchases on the passenger seat, along with a sports drink, a granola bar, and the brass hinge I had never made it to the right aisle to find. There was a yellow sticky note on the bag. "Eat something," it said. Underneath, Lester had added, "Old man." Owen read it over my shoulder. "Who's Lester? Friend of mine? You never mentioned him. I don't submit a monthly roster. I'm trying to know what's going on with you." I opened the granola bar. "You could come by?" The sentence slipped out too plainly. We both heard it. Owen looked toward the road. "I've been busy, I know. Claire and I have had a lot going on. I know. You say it like that. Like what? Like you don't believe me." I took a bite. It tasted like sweetened roof insulation. "I believe you're busy." He waited for the rest. When I didn't give it to him, he shoved his hands into his pockets. That was our trouble. Owen wanted me to say he was doing enough, and I wanted him to know he wasn't without my having to say it. We had maintained that arrangement for years. He followed me home in his car, close enough that I could see him watching at every stoplight. My house sat at the end of a short street outside Pittsburgh, a red brick ranch with a maple tree in front, and a detached garage I had converted into a workshop after my divorce. The house was too much for one person if you listened to Owen, and exactly enough if you listened to me. He walked through the kitchen first, scanning the counters as if I might have left a burner flaming. There were 2 coffee mugs in the sink and a plate with toast crumbs from the previous evening. "You said you didn't eat breakfast," he said. "That plate is from yesterday. You leave dishes overnight now?" "1 plate. I'm just asking." "No, you're building a case." He stopped. "A case for what?" I didn't know. That should have settled me. Instead, it made the back of my neck prickle. Owen opened the refrigerator. He found eggs, cheese, mustard, half a roasted chicken, 3 apples, and enough food to prevent a county investigation. "You need better options. There's chicken. You're not going to cook when you don't feel well. It's already cooked. That's what roasted means." He closed the refrigerator harder than necessary. On the counter sat the microwave he had sent me 2 months earlier. It had a black glass front and 1 smooth panel with 18 identical-looking touch controls. My old microwave had possessed 2 dials. One made food hot, the other decided how long the noise would continue. Owen called it a death trap because the handle had been repaired with epoxy. He tapped the new panel. Are you using this? Yes. Claire said you told her you couldn't make it work. I told Claire I couldn't make it cook for 30 seconds without pressing 4 buttons. You just press time cook. Why would time not be assumed? Then 30. Why the 0? It knows seconds exist. And start. Nothing should require formal permission to begin after I've told it what to do. He stared at me. Then, against his will, one corner of his mouth moved. For a moment, he was my son again, instead of the man inspecting my refrigerator. I nodded toward the back door. Come see the table. The smile disappeared so quickly, I almost thought I had imagined it. Through the kitchen window, the workshop lights were still on from that morning. In the center, under 2 hanging lamps, sat the old oak dining table Owen had bought for his anniversary. I had stripped the cloudy finish, removed the damaged leaves, and marked the split corner for repair. One apron board lay clamped on the bench where I had left it. Our project, he called it. He had spent one Saturday with me in 11 months. I can't stay, he said. I need to get back. It'll take 5 minutes. I've already been gone half the day. You were at urgent care for an hour. I had to drive all the way out here. I picked up the hardware store bag and folded the top down. Owen rubbed his forehead. We'll do it another time. Sure, maybe next Saturday. That's what you said last month. His hand dropped. Are you sure? About what? That I said next Saturday. I looked at him. He must have seen something in my face because his voice softened immediately. I'm only asking, Dad. But he wasn't. Not really. 3 days later, his name appeared beside my appointment in Dr. Shah's online portal as an approved attendee. I had not invited him. And 6 days after that, he sat beside me in her office and told her I was confused. Doctor. Shah let the silence sit for a few seconds. She was good at that. I had known her 7 years, and she could wait longer than most people could lie comfortably. Owen shifted in his chair. I was here in March. You dropped off tax forms, I said. I came inside. You stood in the doorway. We visited. You kept your car running. I was there, Dad. Dr. Shah raised one hand. Let's stay with the reason for today. I thought that was the reason, I said. She gave me the look doctors use when they agree with you, but would prefer you stop helping. Owen, you mentioned repeated questions, right? He asked me 3 times when I was coming to work on the table. Over what period? I don't know. A couple weeks? I looked at him. You gave me 3 different answers. No, I didn't. First Saturday of May, then after Claire's work dinner, then Memorial Day weekend. Those were possibilities. You said, I'll be there. I might have said I'd try. Dr. Shah turned to me. Did you write any of those dates down? They're still in my phone. Owen's expression changed. It wasn't dramatic. His eyebrows lifted half an inch, and he sat back. Dr. Shah noticed. May I see? I handed her the phone. My reading glasses were in my shirt pocket, but I knew where the messages were. She scrolled without reading aloud. There they sat. May 3rd. I'll come out next Saturday. Don't touch the corner joint until I get there. May 12th. This week is a mess. After Claire's dinner, definitely. May 23rd. We should just do Memorial Day. I can give you most of Sunday. On the Sunday in question, Owen had called at 9:30 and said the drive didn't make sense because rain was expected after dark. Dr. Shah returned my phone. That doesn't mean he isn't repeating himself, Owen said. No, she said. It means this example has more context. He looked at me. You came prepared. I brought my phone. The paper beneath me crackled again. I hated that paper. There was no way to move with dignity on it. Every adjustment sounded like somebody opening a bag of chips during a funeral. Dr. Shah asked Owen about Thanksgiving. He rubbed both palms over his knees. He thought we were coming to his house. You told me you were. We discussed it. You said you and Claire would come Friday and stay through Saturday. I said we might. Then Claire called to ask why I wasn't coming to you. Because the plan changed. No one told me. I know I called you. You called me from Claire's driveway at 4:30 Thanksgiving afternoon. That was not the first time. It was the first time you reached me. You didn't answer earlier. My phone never rang. Owen looked toward Dr. Shah as though asking her to notice how impossible I was being. She made a note. Do you still have a landline? She asked me. Yes. Does it ring reliably? As reliably as anything else in the house. When did you last have your hearing checked? I almost smiled. That was a sharp turn. Not as sharp as you think. My hearing is fine. Owen made a noise. I turned to him. What? That. What? Exactly. Dr. Shaw hid a smile behind her hand. I hear people who face me, I said. Owen calls from his car with the window open. He asked me to repeat things all the time, Owen said, because half your conversations sound like they're taking place inside a tornado. It's a hands-free system. It's a hands-free hurricane. Dr. Shaw asked whether the television volume had changed. I told her no. She asked whether I had trouble hearing in restaurants. I told her restaurants had become warehouses with Edison bulbs and concrete floors, so everyone had trouble hearing in them. She scheduled a hearing test. Then came the memory screening. It should not have embarrassed me, but it did. There is something degrading about being asked to prove you know what a clock looks like while your adult son watches. Doctor, Shaw gave me 3 words to remember. Had me draw a circle, place the numbers, set the hands to 10 past 11, and perform a few other tasks that would have been insulting if they had not suddenly mattered so much. I did well, except I recalled church instead of chair. You hate church chairs, Owen said. They're made by people who oppose comfort. It slipped out before I could stop it. Dr. Shaw laughed. Owen didn't. She set down her pen. Nothing today indicates a significant cognitive problem. That isn't a guarantee about every possible issue, but the screening is reassuring. The breath left Owen slowly. The urgent care notes are consistent with dehydration, lack of food, and the doxylamine. Eli, at your age, that medication can hit harder and linger longer than you expect. At my age, I repeated, at your age. She went through the cold medicines I should avoid. She wanted me to use a weekly pill organizer, not because she thought I was incompetent, she emphasized, but because it reduced mistakes for anybody taking daily medication. Owen nodded at each instruction. Dr. Shaw caught him doing it. I'm speaking to your father, I know. He manages his own care unless he asks for assistance. Owen's face colored. I'm not trying to take over. I didn't say you were. Another silence. She was earning her copay that day. She asked me whether I felt safe at home. I said yes. She asked whether I had been getting lost, leaving appliances on, missing bills, or having trouble with familiar work. I said no. When she asked if I had experienced loneliness or depression, Owen looked at me. I studied the clock I had drawn. No depression, I said. Dr. Shaw waited. I get lonely sometimes. I'm divorced and I live alone. That's not a syndrome. No, she said, but it's worth answering honestly. Owen's shoe moved against the floor. I wish she had asked me that question when he wasn't there. I also knew I might not have answered it honestly if she had. After the appointment, he followed me into the parking lot. You made me look like an idiot. I stopped beside my truck. I didn't give the answers. You knew exactly what you were doing with those messages. You gave her an example. She asked for context. You could have told me you had them. Why would I need to announce that my phone keeps texts? His jaw tightened. I came because I care about you. You told the office I wanted you here. I said I was your emergency contact and I needed to attend the follow-up. That is not the same thing. If you didn't want me in the room, you could have said so. In front of Dr. Shaw? Yes. And then refusing your help becomes another symptom. His mouth opened. I unlocked my truck. That's not fair, he said. No, it isn't. Dad, you scared me. You were on the floor of a store, confused about what aisle you were in. For 10 seconds. That you remember. I stood with my hand on the door. There it was, a neat little trap. If I remembered, my memory was questionable. If I became angry that he questioned it, anger could be evidence too. Owen saw my face and softened his voice. Just let me come over this weekend. We'll go through the house, make sure everything's set up right. The house is set up. Your medications, emergency numbers, food. I own food. And that microwave. The microwave is not a neurological event. Fine. Then the table. We'll work on the table. Saturday, yes. What time? He hesitated. Morning, 9, 10. You're sure? Don't do that. Do what? Ask me like you're setting me up to fail. I looked at him for a long moment. 10 then. Mara called that evening while I was frying 2 eggs for dinner. Owen says you had a cognitive assessment. Owen is efficient. He says you ambushed him, with my memory. She went quiet and I could hear dishes clinking on her end. Are you all right? I'm cooking. That isn't what I asked. Yes. I'm all right. What happened at the hardware store? I told her the version without Denise's panic or the patio chair. Mara had a way of hearing missing pieces, but she let me finish. And you're getting your hearing checked? She asked. Apparently the medical profession has united against peaceful mumbling. Dad? Yes. I'm getting it checked. Good. You don't have to sound so pleased. I've been telling you for 3 years. You said I ignore you. You ignore me because you can't hear me. I ignore everybody. It saves time. She laughed, then stopped herself. When did Owen last visit? Recently enough? That's not an answer. He came inside in March. March was 2 months ago. There you go. How long was he there? I slid the eggs onto a plate. One yolk broke. Mara. What? I'm not taking testimony. I'm not asking you to. I'm asking why Owen believes you're declining when I talked to you Sunday. And you spent 20 minutes explaining dovetail angles I did not ask about. He got scared. So did I. I'm not telling your doctor you're confused. You don't see me every day either, neither does he. Her voice had sharpened. I reached for salt. I'm fine, I said. You always say that. Because most of the time, I am, and the rest? The second yolk broke under my fork. The rest of the time, I handle it. She made a small sound that could have been anger or hurt. Right. Of course you do. We ended the call politely, which was how Mara and I ended calls when neither of us was satisfied. Saturday morning, I opened the workshop at 8. I swept around the table, sharpened 2 chisels, and set out the clamps Owen would need. The split corner required a butterfly key across the underside. I had already cut a practice piece so he could ruin cheap oak before touching the table. At 9:40, I started coffee. At 10:15, I poured mine back into the pot and heated it. At 10:40, Claire called. I need your opinion, she said. Owen keeps pretending he doesn't care where we go for our anniversary, which means he hates all my ideas. He inherited that from his mother. I heard that. I intended you to. She laughed. How's our table? I looked across the shop at the clamps, the spare chisel, the practice block waiting beside Owen's empty stool. Still a table. Is he helping or mostly supervising? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed against my ear. Owen's name appeared on the screen. Claire was still talking. He tells everybody he's restoring it with you. I watched Owen's call go unanswered. Then the buzzing stopped and a message appeared. Today got away from me. Next weekend? I set the phone on the bench. Eli, Claire said. You there? I reached for the old canvas drop cloth hanging by the sander. Yeah, I said. I'm here. I spread the cloth over the table, covering the stripped oak, the split corner, and every part I had prepared for my son. Then I turned off the lights. You didn't answer me, Claire said. I stood in the dark workshop with one hand resting on the canvas. About what? Whether Owen's helping. You should ask Owen, another quiet expert. Claire could hear a crooked answer from 2 counties away. I did, she said. That's why I'm asking you. The phone buzzed again. Owen calling a second time. You better get that, she said. How do you know who it is? I've been married to him 15 years. She hung up before I could find a safe reply. Owen's second call stopped. He left a voicemail instead. Hey, Dad. I'm sorry about today. A client thing came up. Then I had to help Claire with something. I should have called sooner. We'll get after it next weekend. Don't do the corner joint without me, okay? I want to learn that part. In the background, I heard a golf cart beep. I listened twice, mostly to make sure it was a golf cart. Then I locked the workshop. At 8:12 the next morning, someone knocked on my front door like they were serving a warrant. Owen stood on the porch holding 2 paper grocery bags and a white plastic shopping bag from the pharmacy. What are you doing here? Good morning to you too. You said next weekend. I felt bad. That usually gets me a phone call. He stepped past me before I invited him in. The grocery bags contained yogurt, pre-cooked chicken strips, individual oatmeal cups, bananas, protein shakes, and a loaf of bread with enough seeds in it to establish a meadow. I have groceries. I saw your refrigerator. You saw food. I saw mustard. There was chicken. You keep saying that like chicken is a complete household. He unloaded everything, moving my cheese and apples to make space. From the pharmacy bag, he produced a large pill organizer with colored compartments for morning and evening. I opened the cabinet beside the sink and set my new pill organizer on the counter. His had blue lids, mine had green. Owen looked at both. You bought one? Dr. Shaw told me to. When? Friday. Why didn't you tell me? I didn't know pill organizers required a press release. I bought you the big print one. I can still see. It's easier. Yours is the size of a tackle box. He opened my cabinet and reached for the prescription bottles. I put my hand on the door. What are you doing? Setting it up. I already set it up. You just said you bought it Friday, and today is Sunday. A lot can happen in 48 hours. He looked at me, then at the green box. Can I at least check it? No, why not? Because they're my pills. I want to make sure. If I need help, I'll ask. His mouth flattened. That system worked great at Barlow's. The pills in that organizer didn't put me on the floor. Exactly. The cold medicine wasn't in there. I threw it away. You threw away the whole bottle? Yes. Let me see. I stared at him. He held my gaze for maybe 2 seconds, then looked toward the trash can. It had been emptied the day before. That's what I mean, he said. What do you mean? You make everything difficult. You asked whether I threw it away. I said yes, and now it's gone, so I can't verify what it was. That is generally how throwing something away works. He dragged one palm down his face. The comedy had left it for me. I didn't feel clever. I felt tired, and it was not yet 9. We drank coffee at the kitchen table. Owen ate one of the yogurts he had brought for me. I had toast with butter because I could feel him monitoring every bite and refused to give him the satisfaction of seeing me eat a seed. He asked when the hearing test was. Wednesday. I can go. I can drive. I didn't say you couldn't. You offered to go. It might be useful to have another set of ears. I believe they provide those at the hearing place. He tapped his spoon against the yogurt cup. You're angry? Yes. At me? Mostly. He nodded as though an honest answer was at least something he could organize. Because I missed yesterday? Because you didn't call until after you were supposed to be here. I called twice. At 11:15. It was a work situation. Near a golf course? The spoon stopped. What? There was a golf cart in your voicemail. Owen's eyes narrowed. It was a client event. On Saturday? Yes. Which you didn't know about Friday? It came together late. Everything comes together late when you've promised me time. I'm here now. With yogurt. I'm trying. No. You're substituting. He pushed back from the table. Let's go work on the table. I'm not working today. Why? Because I don't want to. You're mad, so now you're punishing me. I was going to change the furnace filter. Fine. After that. No. He stood, carried his cup to the sink, and rinsed it with the intensity of a man stripping paint. I drove all the way out here. Nobody asked you to. You wanted me here yesterday. I did. What is the difference? The difference is you decided today was convenient for you. You cannot demand I show up at some exact hour like I work for you. I didn't demand it. We agreed. Things change. They do. The person waiting should be told. He shut off the water. Through the window above the sink, he could see the workshop. The drop cloth made the table look like a low, square ghost. What did you do out there? Covered it. Why? To keep dust off. You never cover it. I do now. He went to the back door. I followed, not because he needed supervision, but because it was my workshop. The morning was cool and bright. My neighbor across the alley, Leonard Pike, was up a ladder cleaning the gutter on his garage. Leonard had retired from the Postal Service and responded to retirement by finding higher places from which to fall. He raised one gloved hand. Morning, Eli. Morning. Your wife know you're up there? She's at church, which is why I'm up here. Owen looked from Leonard to me. That's your neighbor? For 19 years. I don't think I've met him. Leonard cupped a hand behind his ear. Who's that? My confused son, I called. Owen gave me a sharp look. Leonard nodded. Good luck with that. Inside the workshop, Owen pulled back the canvas. The table was exactly as it had been the morning before. The practice block waited on the bench. The clamps were still lined up. I had put his chisel away. You didn't do anything, he said. That was the plan. I mean, all week. I planned my work. The anniversary is in 6 weeks. I know. Can we finish by then? That depends. On what? You. His expression hardened again. I told you I'm busy. I know. I can't come out every weekend and spend 6 hours sanding. You don't have to. Then what are we talking about? I picked up the practice block and placed it in front of him. A butterfly key had been traced across the grain in pencil. This joint locks the split so it won't keep opening. You cut the recess, fit the key, and glue it. Then we do the real one. You could do that in 20 minutes, probably, so do it. No, he laughed once without humor. Why? Because you asked me to teach you. Dad, The teaching part was nice in theory, but I don't have your schedule. My schedule? You know what I mean. I don't believe I do. You're retired. You have time. And because I have time, none of it can be wasted. I didn't say wasted. What would you call Saturday morning? He put the practice block down. This is incredibly childish. It's still here whenever you're ready. Claire thinks it's almost finished. That's something you should discuss with Claire. His eyes moved toward me. What did you tell her? To ask you. Why would you do that? She asked whether you were helping. And you couldn't just say yes? No. We picked this out together. You and Claire picked it out. You came with us. I brought the truck. You found the replacement oak. I found all the oak. Owen paced to the far side of the table. I've helped. You removed 2 screws. I stripped part of the top. You tried the sander for 12 minutes? You timed me? The battery died. I had to leave early that day. I know. Stop saying that. What would you like me to say? Something besides I know in that tone. I walked to the open door. Leonard was no longer on his ladder. The gutter hung loose at one end, which meant my afternoon had just acquired a task. Behind me, Owen said, "Are you going to finish the table or not? I'm going to teach you how to finish it. I'm asking a simple question." "So am I. Are you coming next Saturday?" He stared down at the split corner. "I have to check, then check. I'll let you know. By Thursday." "Why Thursday? So I can make other plans." "With who?" I turned around. The question seemed to surprise both of us. Owen recovered first. "I mean, what other plans? Leonard needs help with his gutter. Lester's rebuilding a porch swing. I have a life, Owen. I didn't say you didn't. You asked who I could possibly have plans with. That's not what I meant." The table stood between us, stripped bare and pale under the lights. Owen replaced the canvas, but he pulled it crooked. One corner remained exposed. He left 10 minutes later. The protein shake stayed in my refrigerator, and his blue pill organizer remained unopened on the counter. After lunch, Leonard and I fixed his gutter. He held the ladder while I replaced the warped fascia board, which was how sensible men our age divided the dangerous parts. When we finished, his wife Ruth brought us iced tea and looked at the pharmacy bag visible through my kitchen door. "Owen checking up on you?" she asked. "Owen is checking everything." "Same thing." Leonard drank half his glass at once. "Your boy still working on that table? He is between shifts." Ruth looked at me over the rim of her glass. She had known me long enough to hear the unspoken word. "Long shift?" she asked. 11 months so far. On Wednesday, the audiologist placed headphones over my ears and told me to press a button whenever I heard a tone. At first, the beeps were obvious. Then they faded into tiny electronic ghosts. I pressed when I was sure. I pressed twice when I wasn't. By the end, I was concentrating so hard my shoulders hurt. The audiologist, a woman named Natalie Bell, turned her monitor toward me. "You have mild high-frequency hearing loss in both ears, a little worse on the left." "Mild," I said. "Mild can still cause trouble, especially with consonants, higher voices, and speech with background noise. So everyone really is mumbling." "No, but now you have an excuse to claim they are." I liked her. She recommended hearing aids, small ones, nearly invisible, with a trial period. I looked at the plastic model in her palm. "How long can I wait?" "You can wait as long as you want. But you came here because communication is already being affected. My son thinks communication is the least of what's affected." She studied me for a moment. "Did he come with you?" "No." "Did you want him to?" I thought about the empty stool in my workshop and Owen asking who else I could possibly have plans with. "No," I said. Then I corrected myself. I wanted him to want to come. That's different. Natalie closed her fingers around the hearing aid. "Yes," she said. "It usually is. I ordered the hearing aids. That sentence makes the decision sound cleaner than it was. I asked Natalie how much they cost, made her repeat the number, then asked whether the repetition was part of her sales technique. "It's a terrible one if it is," she said. The devices arrived the following Tuesday. Natalie fitted them behind my ears and warned me that the world might sound artificial until my brain adjusted. She switched them on. Her voice came toward me with such sudden clarity that I leaned back. The paper on the exam table rasped under my hand. The air vent hissed. Somewhere beyond the closed door, a woman laughed, and I could hear the breath she took before she did it. "That's too much," I said. "It's normal to feel that way. My shirt is making noise. It was always making noise. No shirt needs that much attention." She reduced the volume and showed me how to adjust them with a small button. They came with a charger, a cleaning brush, wax guards, and enough tiny equipment to maintain a satellite. In the parking lot, I heard birds in a tree I had assumed was empty. My keys jingled like sleigh bells. The turn signal in my truck sounded aggressive. I sat behind the wheel for a minute, listening. There are parts of the world you do not notice leaving. They go one consonant, one bird, one quiet mechanical click at a time. Then somebody switches them back on, and you realize how much guessing you have been doing. I called Mara first. I got the hearing aids. What? Very funny. Are they helping? You're louder. That's not an answer? Yes. There was a smile in her silence. I'm proud of you. For buying medical equipment, for not pretending the audiologist was wrong. I never do that. You once argued with a dentist about which tooth hurt. He was looking on the wrong side. He had the X-ray. The pain was on the other side. Do you hear yourself? Better than ever. She laughed. It came through sharper than I was used to, each little break in it, distinct. I called Owen next because not calling him would have become its own event. He answered immediately. How did it go? Mild high-frequency loss. Worse on the left. I knew it. They gave me hearing aids. Already? They had some hidden in the back. You should have told me. I would have gone. You offered. I declined. That's not the same as not wanting me there. I looked through the windshield at the audiology office. No, I said, it isn't. What does that mean? Nothing. Dad. Natalie says the hearing loss could explain trouble with conversations in noisy places. And on the phone. Yes? And maybe dates, not written ones. His breath hit the receiver. I'm not trying to restart the argument. You restarted it efficiently. I'm saying there's an explanation. For why you didn't come. For why we remember things differently. The text messages remember them my way. You really enjoyed showing those to Dr. Shaw. I enjoyed drawing the clock. I'm thinking of taking up art. Can we not do this? We don't have to. Fine, I'll see you Saturday. Are you sure? I said I would. By Thursday, remember. You need a formal confirmation? I need to know whether I'm making other plans. With Leonard? Leonard and I have advanced beyond gutters. Owen was quiet. I'll call Thursday, he said. At 9:40? Thursday night, he sent a message. Can't make Saturday. Let's aim for next week. Please don't work on the table without me. I read it twice, not because I had trouble understanding, but because the last sentence deserved appreciation. Then I called Lester. He answered with, What broke? Nothing. Then why are you calling me? You still working on that porch swing? There was a pause. Who canceled on you? Do you want help or not? 8 o'clock. Bring your hearing aids so you can hear me tell you you're doing it wrong. Saturday morning, I was carrying my tool bag toward the truck when Mara pulled into my driveway. She lived outside Cleveland, a little over 2 hours away when traffic behaved, which it rarely did. Her dark hair was twisted on top of her head, and she wore jeans, running shoes, and the expression of someone arriving to inspect storm damage. I checked my watch. You're early. For what? I don't know. I told you I was coming. You said you were thinking about it. I texted you Wednesday. I took out my phone. Her message was there beneath one from the pharmacy and an advertisement for replacement saw blades. Coming Saturday. Don't make plans. I'll be there by 8. I had read it. I remembered reading it. What I had failed to do was connect the Saturday in the message with the Saturday I had just scheduled with Lester. Mara watched my face. You forgot. I failed to transfer the information. You forgot. The word covers too much territory. She got out of the car carrying an overnight bag. Is that a hearing aid? She asked. No, I've started wearing jewelry behind my ears. She stepped close and looked. It's tiny. It cost more than your first car. My first car was your old Buick. Exactly. She hugged me, and I heard her jacket brush my collar. Mara hugged hard, like she was trying to move furniture without asking for help. I patted her back twice. Where are you going with tools? She asked. Lester's. You made plans. You told me not to. I told you 2 days before you made them. Would you like me to admit I missed that? I'd like to survive the shock. I put my tool bag in the truck. You can come. To Lester's? He has coffee. Is Lester the hardware store guy? He's been the hardware store guy since before you moved to Cleveland. You've never invited me to his house. You've never arrived at 8 in the morning with an overnight bag and orders. She opened the passenger door. Good. We're growing. Lester lived 20 minutes away, in a narrow white house with a porch that leaned enough to express an opinion. His wife had died 8 years earlier, and he had filled the place with half-finished repairs he claimed he was saving for retirement, though he was already retired. The porch swing lay upside down across 2 sawhorses. One arm was cracked, 3 slats were warped, and a previous owner had driven drywall screws into hardwood. Mara ran her fingers over the damage. This looks terrible. Thank you, Lester said. That's why your father's here. This is Mara, I told him. I figured. She looks like you around the eyes. She has better manners. She called my work terrible. It is, Mara said. Not your work, whatever happened before. Lester nodded. I like her. We spent the morning removing the bad slats and cutting replacements. Mara sat on the porch step with iced coffee at first, watching me more than the swing. I pretended not to notice. When Lester switched on the table saw, she moved closer. Should you be using that? I shut it off. Would you like to rephrase? She looked embarrassed, but held her ground. Owen said you're not supposed to use power tools until your hearing gets sorted out. My hearing is sorted. Does that affect balance? No. Did you ask? Yes. That was not entirely true. I had asked Natalie whether hearing aids interfered with shop protection. I had not asked whether mild hearing loss affected balance because I knew mine did not. Mara folded her arms. You're mad at me now. I'm deciding. Lester stepped between us, holding a warped slat. I need someone to mark 12 3/8. Mara took the tape measure from him. I can do that. Your father says you're dependable. Her eyes moved to me. He says that, does he? We finished the swing by 1. Mara sanded the replacement arm, while Lester and I installed the slats. She had always been good with her hands, though I had spent more time teaching Owen because he needed more teaching. That was the explanation I had used anyway. On the drive home, she kept the window cracked. I like Lester, she said. He likes anyone who provides free labor. He knows a lot about you. We've been friends 30 years. I know how long you've known him. You asked if he was the hardware store guy. I asked because I've barely heard you talk about him. I adjusted the volume on my left hearing aid. Your window is loud. She closed it. What did Owen tell you? I asked. That you scared him, embarrassed him at the doctor, and are now holding his anniversary table hostage. Efficient summary. He also said you're getting paranoid. I glanced at her. He did not use that word, she said. He said you're suspicious of his motives. That's different. Is it? Yes. What are his motives? I don't know. That's a safe answer. We pulled into my driveway. The workshop door was closed, the table hidden behind it. Mara carried her bag inside and opened my refrigerator. You too? I'm hungry. Good. Eat Owen's food. She took out one of the protein shakes, read the label, and put it back. This is punishment. Try the seed bread. She found the roasted chicken, which had survived long enough to vindicate me, and made sandwiches. We ate at the kitchen table. The blue pill organizer was still on the counter beside the green one. Mara pointed at them. Why are there 2? Owen brought one after I bought one. Which one are you using? The green. Did you fill it correctly? I set down my sandwich. She raised both hands. Fair. Sorry. No, go ahead. Count them. Check the dates on my milk. Ask me to identify household objects. I said I was sorry. You came here to inspect me. I came because you had a medical episode 2 weeks ago, and because you tell me you're fine when you're not. I am fine. You were lonely enough to tell your doctor. My chair scraped the floor. Owen told you that? He heard it. He was worried. He was present for one honest sentence, so naturally he distributed it. He called me because you won't talk to anybody. I talk to people. Lester, Leonard, apparently every retired man within a 20-mile radius. They're friends. I know. I'm glad. But you don't talk to us. I talk to you every Sunday. You report. Weather, blood pressure, furnace, traffic. You tell me Owen just left when he never came. You tell me he's busy before I even ask. You make excuses for him, like you're being paid. That's between Owen and me. No, it isn't. Her voice had risen. Mine had too. Mara pressed both palms to the table. When I come here, you act like it's something I naturally do. When Owen stands in the doorway for 6 minutes, you mention it 3 times. That's not true. It is. You call me dependable, like it's my personality instead of work. I looked down at my half-eaten sandwich. She waited. I could have argued. A dozen small defenses lined up in my head, each technically accurate. Instead, I stood and carried my plate to the sink. Behind me, Mara said, "Show me the table. It's covered." I didn't ask whether it was dressed. She followed me outside. In the workshop, she pulled back the canvas and studied the stripped oak, the split corner, the penciled butterfly on the practice block. The empty stool still stood where I had placed it for Owen. "How much of this did he actually do?" she asked. I put my hand on the exposed corner. "He's busy," I said. Mara closed her eyes, and hearing myself clearly did not make the words sound any better. Mara opened her eyes. "How busy?" I ran my thumb along the edge of the table. "He came once." "For how long? A couple hours? And since then?" "We've talked about it. That wasn't my question." I looked at her. "You're starting to sound like me?" "Good. Maybe you'll answer. He hasn't been back, not once." "No." She walked around the table, examining the pale top, the numbered pieces, the clamps on the apron board. She picked up the practice block and turned it over. "How long have you been working on this? On and off? 11 months. And he tells Claire they're doing it together. He may see it differently. He removed 2 screws and sanded for 12 minutes. I had forgotten I had told her that. Mara put down the block. "Why do you do this? Do what? Protect him from facts." "I'm not protecting him. You just defended 12 minutes of sanding. I'm trying to be fair. To Owen. To everybody." "No." Fair to everybody would sound different. She replaced the canvas, taking more care with it than Owen had. Then she sat on his empty stool. "Do you remember my 40th birthday?" she asked. "Of course. You said Owen left before I arrived. He did. He never came." I leaned against the workbench. "He called. He called you." "He didn't call me. He had a work emergency. He was in Cincinnati. For work. He had been in Cincinnati for 3 days. He was never planning to come. That was 4 years ago. Yes." The hearing aids picked up the fluorescent lights humming overhead. I had never known fluorescent lights hummed unless they were going bad. These were apparently singing for pleasure. Mara continued. "You made it sound like we missed each other by 10 minutes because you didn't want me angry with him. I didn't want to fight on your birthday. So you lied." I smoothed it over. "For him, for the family." She laughed softly. "There it is." "What?" "The family. Somehow, I'm never the person you're protecting when you protect the family. That's not fair. I drove here because Owen told me you were getting confused. I spent the morning watching you rebuild a porch swing, and now I'm standing beside a table he claims he helped restore. What part am I supposed to find fair? I didn't ask you to drive here." The second the words left my mouth, I wanted them back. Mara's face went still. "No," she said. "You never do." She stood and walked out. I let her get as far as the kitchen before I followed. She was stuffing clothes back into her overnight bag, though she had not removed any. "You don't have to leave. That's generous. I said the wrong thing. You said the automatic thing. Mara." She pulled the zipper. It caught halfway. "You know what the worst part is?" she said. "I know Owen got more of you because he needed more. I understood that when we were young. I understood it after you and Mom divorced. Owen was always in some crisis, and I was always fine. You were stronger. I learned not to need anything where you could see it." The zipper came loose, and she yanked it closed. "That wasn't what I wanted. No, it was just convenient." I sat on the edge of the spare bed. Her bag was between us. There were things I could have said about her mother, about the divorce, about Owen changing jobs 3 times in 2 years, and Mara already established in Cleveland. All of it would have been true, and none of it would have answered her. "When you came," I said, "I treated it like the natural order of things." She folded her arms. "When Owen came, I treated it like an event. Yes. I noticed his absence more than your presence." Her mouth tightened. "I'm sorry." She looked toward the window. I had apologized to Mara before. "Sorry I was late. Sorry I forgot to call. Sorry I told that story at dinner. This one stayed in the room differently because I could not repair it after saying it." "I don't need you to make a speech every time I visit," she said. "I'm relieved. I need you to stop using me as proof the family is fine while you cover for him. All right? And if he doesn't come, say he didn't come. All right? Don't tell me he just left. All right?" She studied me. "You're agreeing too fast. I'm 70. Time matters." That got half a smile. She left the bag on the bed. That evening, we ordered Chinese food from a place that still gave you enough fried rice to survive a minor winter. We ate in front of a baseball game, and Mara adjusted the television volume down from 26 to 18. You really couldn't hear, she said. I could hear. You were watching at airport volume. Sports require authority. My phone rang during the 7th inning. Owen. Mara saw the name. Answer it. You answer it. It's your phone. He's calling because you're here. That would be a strange reason to call you. I put it on speaker. Owen began without hello. How's everything going? Baseball team is losing. I mean, with Mara. She's eating my food. I bought that food. We ordered Chinese. Mara leaned toward the phone. He's fine, Owen. Hey, how did today go? We visited Lester. Who? The hardware store guy, I said. He watched Dad use a table saw, Mara added. Owen made a frustrated sound. Mara, what? You know what I'm asking? No, I know what you want me to report. I don't need a report. Then stop asking for one. There was a pause. Did you look at his medications? He asked. Mara looked at the 2 pill organizers on the counter. He's using the green one. Did you check it? No. Why not? Because he told me not to. You drove all that way to check on him. No, she said. I drove all this way to see him. I looked at the television. A batter stepped out of the box and adjusted both gloves 1 finger at a time. Owen lowered his voice. Has he said anything about me? Mara's eyes moved to mine. Not as much as you think, she said. After the call, neither of us spoke for a while. Then Mara reached for the carton of fried rice. You gave him my travel plans, she said. I did. Why? I thought he'd be glad I wasn't alone. Were you worried about being alone? No. Then why did he need to know? It was a good question. I disliked it immediately. Mara left Sunday afternoon after writing the dates of her next 2 visits on the calendar by my refrigerator. She also put them in my phone, sent them by text, and made me repeat them aloud. This feels excessive, I said. I'm making context. Before she drove away, she hugged me in the driveway. Don't let Owen turn me into the good child, she said. You're 44. You know what I mean? I do. It would just be another way not to deal with him. I know. She leaned back. That tone is improving. By Wednesday, the hearing aids had become less impressive and more annoying, which Natalie said was progress. I wore them every day. I learned to put them in before coffee and remove them before using the air compressor, or saw. I also learned that if I set one on a workbench, it could disappear among wood shavings with the speed of a frightened insect. I was on my knees searching beneath the bench when Claire appeared in the workshop doorway. Eli? I hit my head on the underside. Damn it! She hurried inside. Are you okay? I was until you spoke. What are you doing on the floor? Looking for my left ear. Her face changed. Hearing aid, I said. I dropped the hearing aid. Oh. Did Owen send you? No. Should I help? I know where it fell. That was another technically true sentence. I knew it had fallen somewhere within 6 feet of me. Claire took out her phone, turned on the flashlight, and crouched at the other end of the bench. She still wore office clothes, gray pants, low black heels, cream blouse. Her blonde hair was pulled into a knot that had begun loosening around her face. Why are you here? I asked. To see the table. Why? Because every time I ask Owen, he says you're having a bad week. The hearing aid lay beside the rear leg of the bench, half buried in dust. Claire found it first. She held it out in her palm. Is this what $2,000 looks like now? Only half of it. She laughed and waited while I cleaned it. The canvas covered the table behind her. Can I see? She asked. You've seen it. Not since Christmas. I did not move. Claire reached for the canvas, then stopped. May I? It's your table. She folded the cover back. For several seconds, she said nothing. The unfinished top sat separated from its base. Pencil marks remained around the split. The practice block was untouched. The apron board still wore its clamps. Claire walked around it once. This isn't almost finished. No. Owen said you were ready for stain. We're not. He brought home samples. I haven't seen them. She touched the split corner. Did something happen? No. Did you stop because of your hands? My hands are fine. Because of the dizziness. No. Her fingers left the wood. When did Owen last work on this? I picked up the practice block and brushed dust from the penciled butterfly. He came the first Saturday, and after that, he hasn't made it. Claire looked at me, waiting for a correction. Not once. No. But he talks about this every week. We talk about working on it. He showed our friends a picture of you two sanding. That was the first Saturday. He said it was last month. I set down the block. She took out her phone and found the photograph. Owen stood beside the table, holding the cordless sander, safety glasses on his head, smiling toward the camera. I remembered taking it. That one? I asked. Yes. He wore that shirt the first day. Claire enlarged the image. The old finish was still on the table. Behind Owen, my wall calendar showed the previous June. She lowered the phone. I watched hurt arrive in stages. Disbelief first, then calculation, then the embarrassment of remembering all the times she had repeated his story to other people. I should have told you sooner, I said. Why didn't you? I thought it was between Owen and me. He made it between him and me when he lied. He may not think of it as lying. Claire gave me a look so direct I almost stepped back. Don't do that. Do what? Make his excuse before he has to. The words sounded familiar. She pulled a sheet of sandpaper from the rack and turned it between her fingers. So, what happens now? He comes, and I teach him to finish it. And if he doesn't, it stays here. Claire looked at the table, then at Owen's empty stool. Good, she said. It was not the answer I expected. She set the sandpaper beside the untouched practice block. Because I don't want another anniversary present from a man who keeps giving me his father's work. Claire kept looking at the sandpaper. Can I work on it? No. Her eyebrows rose. Because I'm a woman? Because this was supposed to be something Owen and I did. It appears Owen has survived not doing it. That doesn't make it yours to finish. Technically, the table is mine. Technically, it belongs to whoever can lift it. She smiled despite herself. I took the sandpaper from her and set it back on the rack. You don't have to complete his apology for him. He hasn't apologized. Then we're ahead of ourselves. She pulled Owen's stool closer and sat. I stayed standing because sitting would have made the conversation feel planned. What exactly happened at the hardware store? She asked. I got dizzy. Owen said you were lost. I was briefly mistaken about what aisle I was in. He said you couldn't identify the store. I identified the aisle incorrectly. That's different. He said the manager found you wandering. The manager found me sitting beside bird feeders. Claire blinked. Why were you sitting beside bird feeders? The floor was available. Eli. I took nighttime cold medicine, skipped breakfast, got dehydrated, and had what Dr. Shaw called an adverse medication effect. That sounds different from what I heard. I wasn't at my best. But you weren't wandering. No. Did you know who Owen was? I've had days when I wished I didn't. She did not laugh. He told me you kept asking where you were. I asked once why they had bird feeders and plumbing. Denise told me I was in seasonal. I knew I was at Barlow's. Claire stared at the floor. I understood then that Owen had not exactly lied to her. He had arranged the facts. He had taken every uncertain moment and placed it beside the next one until they formed the picture he feared. He was scared, I said. She looked up. You're doing it again. He was? You can be scared and still be wrong. Yes. Did Dr. Shaw say you're confused? No. What did she say? That the screening was reassuring. She also said I'm stubborn, difficult, and unusually handsome for my age. Which part did she actually say? The first. Claire's phone began vibrating in her purse. She took it out, looked at the screen, and closed her eyes. Owen? I told him I was stopping here. Then you'd better answer. Why? So he doesn't decide I've locked you in a cabinet. She accepted the call and walked toward the open workshop door. Hi. Even without my hearing aids, I would have heard Owen's voice through that phone. What are you still doing there? Claire glanced at me, looking at the table. A pause. No, it isn't almost done. Another pause. I'm looking at it, Owen. His voice rose. I caught my name, followed by something about being angry. Claire turned away from me. You told me the two of you had been working on it. More noise from the phone. No, don't do that. I know what you said. She listened, jaw tight. Fine, she said. Come over. She ended the call. That seems wise, I said. He was already on his way. Less wise. He says he needs to explain. Does he require the practice block? Claire looked at the penciled butterfly. What is that anyway? I explained how the key fit across a split and kept the wood from pulling apart. She turned the block in her hands, studying the outline. Is it difficult? Not once you've learned. And before you've learned? You ruined several pieces of scrap. She nodded. That sounds familiar. Owen arrived 26 minutes later. I knew because I checked the clock, then checked my watch when I remembered the clock was 4 minutes slow. He entered through the workshop door without knocking. Claire remained on the stool. I stood beside the table. The arrangement was unfortunate. It made us look like a committee. Owen stopped inside. So this is what we're doing. What are we doing? Claire asked. Talking about me when I'm not here. We were talking about the table. Same thing. That may be the problem, she said. He looked at me. You couldn't wait to show her. She came to see it. Why didn't you call me? I didn't know she was coming. He didn't, Claire said. Owen glanced between us. Great. Now you're answering for him. I'm answering for myself. This is exactly what I was worried about. He's angry about the appointment, so he's decided to punish me through our anniversary. Claire stood. Our anniversary is not the issue. It was his idea to make the table our gift. It was your idea. He agreed. I agreed to teach you, I said. Owen pointed toward the unfinished corner. And now you've stopped. Until you're here. I am here. You came because Claire saw it. So what? I'm here. Do you want to work? I'm wearing dress shoes. Shoes come off. He stared at me. You know I have to get back. To what? My life. The word landed harder than he meant it to. I could tell because he immediately turned to Claire. I'm not saying he doesn't have a life. Then stop explaining, she said. Owen walked to the table and ran his hand over the stripped top. I've done more than 12 minutes. I had not realized Claire told him that. The sanding disc wore out after 12 minutes, I said. You measured that, not me. The picture you showed people was taken last June, Claire said. You told me it was last month. I sent you an old picture. I didn't say when it was taken. You said, we made progress today. We did talk about it that day. Claire's face changed. You're serious. Why is everybody acting like I claimed I built the thing by myself? I said Dad and I were restoring a table. That's true. You've never cut a piece of wood for it, I said. I found the table. Claire found the table. I found the listing. I found the listing, Claire said. He turned on her. Do you want credit for the search history? No. I want you to stop reaching for credit every time someone points out you weren't here. Owen's face reddened. Everybody has plenty to say about where I wasn't. Nobody mentions where I was. Where were you? Claire asked. Working, taking care of our house, going to appointments with Dad, picking him up off a hardware store floor. I was already off the floor. He ignored me. I bought groceries. I got him a safer microwave. I'm the one who answers when something happens. You answered because your number was on a card, Claire said, and thank God it was. I appreciated it, I said. Both of them looked at me. I continued. I appreciated you coming. I appreciated the groceries. I did not appreciate you telling my doctor you had observed me declining when you hadn't visited. I hear you on the phone. You hear what you expect. I heard you ask the same question 3 times. Because you changed the answer, you always have an explanation. So do you. For a moment, none of us spoke. Owen leaned both hands on the table. I show up when it matters, he said. There it was. The sentence he believed would settle everything. The hardware store floor mattered. The doctor's office mattered. The possibility that I might become helpless mattered. A Saturday morning with coffee, chisels, and no emergency attached did not. You decide what matters, I said. His eyes met mine. I have a job, Dad. I had one for 46 years. You had regular hours. I laughed. I couldn't help it. I repaired city vehicles. Snowstorms did not respect regular hours. You know what I mean. Yes, I always know what you mean. It saves you the trouble of saying it. Claire turned away, pressing her fingers to her forehead. Owen straightened. Fine, finish it yourself. No. Then hire somebody. No. What do you want from me? Next Saturday, 9 o'clock, 3 hours. I can't promise that. Then the table waits. His voice dropped. This is manipulation. No. Manipulation is telling Claire we're almost ready for Stain, so she'll believe you've been here. He went still. I had finally said the thing directly. It did not feel as satisfying as I had imagined. Claire picked up her purse. Owen looked at her. Are you coming? In a minute. Why not now? Because I don't want to have this conversation in 2 cars. We can talk at home. That hasn't worked so far. He gave me a long look, one I could not fully read. Hurt was in it. Anger too. Beneath both, I thought I saw the same fear from Barlow's, but now it had nowhere useful to go. He left without saying goodbye. We heard his car start in the driveway. The engine stayed there nearly a minute before he backed out. Claire sat again. I shouldn't have asked him to come. He was coming anyway. I should have waited and talked at home. Would he have told you the truth? She looked toward the door. Eventually. It was loyal and doubtful at the same time. I covered the table. Don't make me part of your marriage, I said. I didn't. You came here because you didn't trust his answer. I came here because I wanted to see my table. And now? Now I don't know what I want. She touched the canvas. Not this, she said. Not yet. After she left, I put the blue pill organizer in the hall closet. I considered throwing it away, then imagined Owen asking to see the trash. He did not call the next morning during his commute. He did not call Tuesday either. By Wednesday, I had stopped carrying my phone into the workshop. That was how I told myself. I was not waiting for it. Mara called Wednesday night. Owen says you and Claire cornered him. Claire invited him. That isn't what cornered means. We were on two different sides of a table. It looked worse than it was. He says you're refusing to finish it. I'm refusing to finish it alone. He also says you've turned Claire against him. I told Claire not to involve me in their marriage. Did you tell her he lied? She discovered that. Mara was silent. I'm not getting in the middle, she said. Good, I mean it. So do I. Then why are you defending him again? I looked out the kitchen window. The workshop was dark. He felt ambushed. He was asked to explain his own story. There were two of us. You just had two women tell you the same thing. Did you feel ambushed? Yes. That made her laugh, though she tried not to. Friday afternoon, Owen sent one message. Have Claire pick up the table. I'm done with it. I read the words through twice, then removed my hearing aids and read them again in the quiet. I knew he meant the table. I was not sure he did. I typed 3 different replies before sending one. The table isn't ready to pick up. Owen answered less than a minute later. Not my problem anymore. I put my phone face down on the kitchen counter. The blue pill organizer was still in the hall closet. The protein shakes remained in the refrigerator. His groceries had become strange little monuments to an argument neither of us knew how to finish. Claire called Saturday morning. Did Owen tell you to give me the table? He said you should pick it up. Don't. It would take 4 people. I mean, don't do anything with it. I'm not. He doesn't get to quit something and assign the remains to me. All right. Did you answer him? I told him it wasn't ready. She was quiet. What did he say? That it wasn't his problem. I heard her take a breath. Eli, I'm not calling you to discuss my marriage. I'm not discussing it. You said that with a lot of tone. The hearing aids provide tone now. I'm serious. So am I. Whatever happens between you and Owen stays between you and Owen. And the table stays in my shop. She let out a short laugh. Good. Their anniversary came and went without the table. I knew because Claire sent me a photograph of 2 wine glasses beside a basket of bread. No people, no explanation. I replied that the bread looked expensive. She sent back, it was. Owen did not call. At first his silence felt clean. I did not have to interpret road noise or listen for promises hiding inside possibilities. I did not have to decide whether a 6-minute call meant we were close. Then I began noticing the hours when he usually called. 7:40 in the morning, 5:20 in the afternoon. His commute had organized parts of my week without my permission. At 7:30 I would carry my coffee into the living room. At 5 I would turn off the loudest tools. By the second week I was angry at him for a phone that did not ring, and angrier at myself for hearing it anyway. I kept busy. Lester and I delivered the porch swing to his sister. Leonard helped me replace a rotten section of fence. I adjusted Ruth's kitchen drawers after she complained they had begun closing with hostility. I had lunch twice with Dennis Hall, a former mechanic from the city garage who had recently acquired a mustache too ambitious for his face. There were people in my life. Owen had asked who, as if the answer might be no one. I had taken offense because a small part of me feared he was right. The table remained covered. Once, while sweeping, I pulled the canvas back. The butterfly key on the practice block was still only pencil. I could have cut it myself before the coffee finished brewing. My hands knew the work. The chisel would enter at the grain, shallow first, then deepen around the edges. 20 minutes, as Owen had said. I put the canvas back. My left knee had been bothering me more. It had started years earlier as a complaint on stairs and had become a negotiation every time I stood. Dr. Shah had been encouraging me to see an orthopedic surgeon. I had canceled one consultation when Owen said he wanted to come, but could not make the date. then delayed the rescheduled appointment because it landed during his busiest month. I did not tell Mara that part. A storm came through on a Thursday night. The weather service had been warning us all day. By 7, the sky over the backyards had turned the color of a bruise. Wind drove the maples sideways, rain struck the windows in hard bursts, and the power flickered twice. I took out my hearing aids. Natalie had made me promise not to expose them to water, sweat, steam, hairspray, aerosol chemicals, or most forms of human existence. I put them in the charger and filled 2 pitchers in case the power went out. A crack sounded from across the alley. Even without the hearing aids, I felt it through the kitchen floor. Part of Leonard's maple had come down across the back of his house. The main trunk missed the roof, but a heavy branch punched through the small addition, where Ruth kept a sewing room and extra kitchen cabinets. Rain blew through the opening. I called 911. The dispatcher confirmed no one was injured and told us to stay clear of downed electrical lines. The branch had missed the service cable. Firefighters arrived, checked the structure, shut off power to the addition, and left once they were certain it was stable enough for Leonard and Ruth to remain in the front of the house. Leonard stood in the kitchen wearing pajama pants under a raincoat. "I was going to trim that tree," he said. Ruth handed him a bucket. "You were going to trim it for 11 years. This is aggressive trimming." Water ran down the wall behind the damaged upper cabinets. The branch had split one box and pulled another away from its fasteners. "We need to unload those," I said. Ruth began passing down dishes while Leonard and I cleared the counter. Dennis arrived 10 minutes later with tarps. Lester appeared carrying a battery lantern and a pry bar large enough to remove the porch. Nobody had called a meeting. People simply came. My phone stayed on its charger in my kitchen. We worked for nearly 2 hours. Dennis and Lester covered the opening from inside after the worst wind passed. I braced the loose cabinet so it would not tear more drywall away. Leonard kept trying to climb a stepladder, and 3 of us kept taking it from him. The rain had eased when headlights swept across the alley. Owen came around the side of Leonard's house in khaki pants and a black rain jacket, moving fast. "Dad?" I was kneeling on the counter, holding a cabinet while Lester drove a temporary support beneath it. Owen stopped in the doorway. "What are you doing? Helping? I called you 9 times. My phone's at home. There's a tree through a house. Part of one. You didn't think to call me? Why?" He stared at me, rain running from his hair onto his collar. "Because there's a tree through a house. Not my house." I didn't know that. The address would have helped. The local alert said, "Your street." You weren't answering. Ruth came in carrying towels. "Oh," she said. "You must be Owen." His face tightened. "Yes, I'm Ruth." The confused son? I closed my eyes. Owen looked at me. "Seriously?" It was one joke. Leonard has repeated it. Ruth handed him towels. "You can be useful or offended. Useful would help more." She went back into the sewing room. Owen looked down at the towels, then at the wet floor. "What needs doing?" he asked. That was Owen. Put a crisis in front of him, and he became the man I kept insisting he could be. He removed his jacket, rolled up his sleeves, and helped Dennis move furniture away from the damaged wall. When the tarp sagged, Owen climbed the stepladder before Leonard could. He held the plastic tight while Lester fastened it to the framing. Nobody had to explain the work twice. He anticipated where weight would shift and kept his hands clear. I had taught him more than he remembered during the years when he came into the workshop, because being beside me was reason enough. By 11, the rain had slowed to a steady drip. We had the opening covered, the loose cabinets down, and the furniture stacked in the dining room. Ruth made coffee on a camp stove. We sat around the kitchen table under battery lanterns. Owen was between Leonard and Dennis, listening to a story about the time I backed a city salt truck through a garage door. "It was already damaged," I said. "The wall wasn't," Dennis said. Owen smiled into his coffee. Leonard pointed at him. "You have your dad's way of looking innocent while facts are presented." "I've never looked innocent," I said. Owen laughed. For 5 minutes, maybe 10, we were not fighting. The power was out, a tree was inside the next room, and I felt more at ease with my son than I had in months. Then I stood to carry my cup to the sink, and my knee failed to straighten. I caught the table. Owen was on his feet immediately. "What happened?" "Nothing." "That wasn't nothing." My knee locked. "How long has it been doing that?" "Off and on." "How long?" "A while." Dennis found a sudden interest in the coffee grounds. Leonard looked at the ceiling. Owen noticed. Everybody knows, except me. It isn't a secret. When were you going to tell me? I did tell you. Doctor, Shaw wants me to see somebody. Did you? I have an appointment. When? Monday. I'll go with you. No. His expression closed. I regretted how fast I had answered, but not the answer. Why not? He asked. Because I can go to an appointment without a witness. I'm not a witness. What are you? Your son. The room quieted. Lester stood and picked up the empty coffee cups. I need to inspect that tarp from the outside. Dennis joined him with no explanation. Leonard and Ruth followed, though it was their kitchen. Owen and I remained beneath the lantern. I thought the tree hit your house, he said. I know. I pictured you on the floor again. I wasn't. You never answer when something happens. I was helping the people something happened to. How was I supposed to know that? You weren't. That's your answer? I eased weight onto my leg. The knee hurt, but it held. You were scared, I said. I understand. You keep saying that, like understanding makes me unreasonable. No, it makes you frightened. What's the difference? One is about what I'm doing. The other is about what you imagine when you aren't here. His face changed. I did not mean it as a weapon. That did not keep it from cutting. Owen picked up his wet jacket. Tell me what time Monday. I can drive myself. I didn't ask who was driving. 10:30. I'll meet you there. No. He looked toward the dark sewing room, the cabinets we had removed, the supports still holding. You let all these people help you. They were here. I came when there was a tree. His jaw moved. I wanted to take it back. I wanted to thank him, ask about work, offer him the spare room so he would not drive home tired. All those wants reached the same narrow doorway and blocked each other. Owen put on his jacket. Good luck, Monday, he said. He left through the kitchen. I heard the outer door close. I heard his footsteps cross wet pavement, growing softer as he went. The hearing aids were still charging in my house across the alley. I heard him leave anyway. Ruth found me the next morning, replacing the temporary braces beneath her cabinets. You're limping, she said. I've been limping for years. You're doing it louder. That doesn't make sense. It does with you. She handed me coffee. Leonard was outside arguing with an insurance adjuster about whether a tree could be considered an act of God if he had intended to trim it. Ruth leaned against the counter. Owen was upset. He'll recover. He drove through that storm because he thought you were hurt. I thanked him for helping. Did you? I'm almost certain. You criticized the reason he came. The reason matters. So does the coming. I tightened the brace another quarter turn. You're taking his side. There are no sides in my kitchen. There's barely a wall. I looked toward the plastic-covered opening. Ruth sipped her coffee. Your son knows how to show up for an emergency, she said. That's not nothing. I didn't say it was. No. You just make your face do the saying. What would you like me to do? Ask him to learn the boring parts. I did. There's a table under canvas because of it. Then keep asking or stop asking. But don't punish him for coming when he knows how. I looked at her. You and Mara have been talking? I haven't spoken to Mara in 6 years. You're using her sentences. Maybe women have been independently noticing you for a long time. Leonard came inside carrying a clipboard. Act of God, he announced. Ruth looked at the ceiling. Then God owes me 2 cabinets. The orthopedic surgeon showed me an x-ray of my right knee and used the phrase bone on bone. I studied the pale shapes on the screen. Which part is bone? All of this. And the missing space? Cartilage? Can you put more in? He smiled like he had heard that one several hundred times. Dr. Warren was younger than my toolbox and spoke with the calm confidence of someone whose own knees had never negotiated a staircase. He moved the joint, asked where it hurt, and seemed unsurprised by every answer. I had already tried injections, physical therapy, anti-inflammatory pills, a brace, and the optimistic purchase of walking shoes. The shoes had become gardening shoes. The brace lived in a drawer. You can continue managing it, he said, but it's limiting your activity and becoming less predictable. Replacement is reasonable. How long before I'm useful? That depends on what you call useful. Driving, shop work, ladders. No ladders for a while. That isn't a duration. 6 weeks at minimum, and I'd prefer longer. You sound like my daughter. I'm comfortable with that. He explained the operation, the risks, the exercises, and the need for someone to take me home and remain available during the first few days. I thought of Owen in Leonard's kitchen, sleeves rolled, standing on the ladder without being asked. Then I thought of the empty stool. When? I asked. His scheduler found an opening 5 weeks away. I took it, Mara answered on her lunch break. You saw the surgeon? I did. And I'm getting a replacement. She was silent long enough that I checked the phone. When? August 17th. I'll come. You don't know what day that is. I'm looking at my calendar. There was clicking on her end. I can get there the night before, she said. I'll take you in, bring you home, stay through Thursday. After that, I may need to go back for 2 days. That's too much. You're having part of your leg replaced, only the joint. Oh, then I'll come for lunch. I have people here. Good. Use them. I intend to. Does Owen know? No. Another silence. I'm not keeping it secret. What are you doing? Making arrangements without him? Yes. Because you don't trust him to come? Because I need to know somebody will. She breathed out slowly. Did you really cancel an orthopedic appointment before because he couldn't make it? My hand tightened around the phone. Who told you that? Owen? That surprised me. He called after the storm, she said. He was upset. He said you wouldn't let him go Monday even though you had changed appointments for him before. I changed one. He said 2. The second was during his busiest month. Did he ask you to change it? He said he couldn't come. That wasn't my question. There it was again. No, I said. He did not ask. You just decided his absence meant you couldn't go. I wanted someone with me. You could have called me. You're 2 hours away. I was 2 hours away then, too. I sat at the kitchen table. Mara continued more gently. You keep building the whole family around what Owen might do. I'm not doing that now. No, you're building it around making sure you don't need him. That isn't the same. It's closer than you think. I looked at the calendar by the refrigerator. Her next visit was written in black marker. She had made the letters large enough to qualify as signage. What should I do? I asked. Tell him. What if he offers to help? Decide based on what you need, not on whether the offer makes you feel better. And if he doesn't, don't tell me he was busy. Leonard agreed to drive me to physical therapy once Mara returned to Cleveland. Dennis could cover Tuesdays. Lester said he would come Thursday mornings, but refused to help with bathing, socks, or anything involving a region normally covered at a public pool. I didn't ask, I said. I'm establishing boundaries. Ruth organized meals, though I warned her that placing her in charge of food might produce enough casseroles to alter the foundation of my house. Within 3 days, the first 2 weeks after surgery were covered. The arrangement looked less like dependence than I had feared. It looked like a calendar with names on it. I still had not called Owen. Claire came by on Sunday carrying the damaged door from one of Ruth's cabinets. Ruth asked me to bring this, she said. Why do you have Ruth's cabinet door? She called me. How does Ruth have your number? She asked Owen during the storm. I examined the door. The corner joint had pulled apart, but the wood was sound. Ruth recruits efficiently. She said you'd refuse help if she called it help. She's becoming difficult. She says you're becoming predictable. Claire had changed into old jeans and a faded green t-shirt. Her hair was tied back, and she carried a small tote containing sandpaper, work gloves, and safety glasses. What's all that? I came prepared. For what? To help. You've been speaking to Mara, too. I've never met Mara without you. That no longer proves anything. Claire set the tote on the bench and looked toward the covered table. I'm not touching that, she said. I thought we could fix Ruth's cabinet. You know how? No, I know how to follow instructions. That skill is rare in this family. We pulled the joint apart, cleaned out the old glue, and checked the pieces for damage. Claire worked carefully. She asked questions before doing things, which felt suspicious at first, because I was accustomed to Owen beginning with confidence and discovering questions later. When I handed her sandpaper, she smiled. What? You wouldn't let me touch it last time. This is Ruth's cabinet. I understand the legal distinction. She sanded the old glue from the inside edge. For a while, we talked about wood. It was easier. Then she said, Owen told me about your knee. I saw Dr. Warren. You need surgery? August 17th. Her hand stopped. That soon? 5 weeks. Who's taking you? Mara. Leonard and the others will help after she leaves. And Owen? He doesn't know yet. Claire placed the sandpaper flat on the bench. Are you going to tell him? Yes. When? When I decide what I'm asking of him. He's going to be hurt. I know. You keep saying that. I know. She gave me a tired smile. He does it too. Does what? Waits until he understands something well enough to avoid feeling it. I fitted the cabinet joint together without glue, checking the edges. Claire picked sawdust from her sleeve. He was different after your divorce, she said. I remember. He called you every night. For a while, for almost a year. I looked at her. Owen had lived 20 minutes away then. Mara was already in Cleveland. After his mother moved out, Owen came on Tuesdays with takeout, changed light bulbs that did not need changing, and found reasons to be in the workshop. I had treated it as a phase he would outgrow, because admitting I needed those visits would have made the divorce feel more real. He thought you were falling apart, Claire said. I was having a difficult year. You stopped cooking. You lost 20 pounds. I could spare 10. He was scared then, too. I spread glue along the joint. He knew how to help, I said. Did he? He came. And after you got better, you went back to being the one who helped him. That's what fathers do. Claire watched me fit the pieces. Maybe emergencies are the only time he knows what his place is with you. I pressed the joint closed. That does not explain 11 months. No. Or the doctor. No. Or lying to you. No. She wiped glue from the edge with a damp rag. Explanations aren't pardons. We clamped the door and left it on the bench. Before Claire left, she wrote the surgery date in her phone. I'm not telling him for you, she said. I'm not asking you to, but I'm also not going to pretend I don't know if he asks. Fair? She paused beside the canvas-covered table. Owen thinks you don't need him. He's gone to a lot of work to prove it. That was cruel. Yes. True, but cruel. Yes. Claire rested one hand on the canvas, then removed it. Tell him before the surgery, she said. After she drove away, I called Owen. It went to voicemail. I waited through the tone. I saw the surgeon, I said. He recommends replacing the knee. It's scheduled for August 17th. I have the rides and the first week covered. I'm not asking you to do anything. I just wanted you to know. I almost added that he could come if he wanted. Instead, I ended the call. The message showed as delivered. It did not show whether he had heard it, understood it, or decided it mattered. Owen did not answer that day. He did not answer the next one either. I told myself the purpose of the message had been to give him information, not force a response. That was true in the way a person can technically leave a porch light on for himself. Preoperative instructions began arriving. Stop this medication 7 days before. Use that soap the night before. Do not eat after midnight. Bring shoes with non-slip soles. Remove loose rugs from the house. Arrange a chair with arms. My knee replacement came with more directions than Owen's microwave. Ruth walked through my house searching for hazards. This rug moves, she said. It has been there 14 years. It can move after surgery. Does anesthesia make rugs aggressive? She rolled it up and carried it to the closet. Leonard installed a second handrail beside the basement steps, even though everyone agreed I would not use the basement. Dennis borrowed a walker from his brother and delivered it with 2 tennis balls already cut for the rear legs. Lester brought a grabber tool and demonstrated how to lift a beer from the floor. You won't be drinking beer with pain medication, Ruth said. I'm showing versatility. Mara visited twice before the operation. The first time, she rearranged my freezer. The second, she discovered I had rearranged it back. I grouped things by meal, she said. You grouped them by color. Those were labels. It looked like a flag. You asked for help. I did not ask you to hide the chicken under peas. Each time she asked whether Owen had responded. Each time I said no. Claire sent one message about Ruth's cabinet door. The glue joint had held, the finish matched well enough. And Ruth had declared it almost professional, which from Ruth was a parade. I did not ask Claire about Owen. She did not volunteer anything. The night before surgery, Mara arrived with a small suitcase, 3 books, and a pillow. She claimed hospitals never provided correctly. You're not sleeping there, I said. It's for you. My pillows work. Your pillows are envelopes with stuffing. She put it in the truck so neither of us could remove it without looking unreasonable. At dinner, I caught her watching me. What? Nothing. You have Owen's nothing face, I was thinking. That's rarely nothing. She pushed roasted potatoes around her plate. Are you scared? Of what? The operation. No. She waited. I drank water. Moderately, I said. Thank you. For what? For not making me use pliers. I looked at my right knee beneath the table. Dr. Warren would cut away the damaged surfaces and replace them with metal and plastic. I understood every mechanical part of that sentence. Understanding did not improve it. I don't like depending on people, I said. I had noticed. I don't want you using all your time off. I decided how to use it. You could save it. For what? Something you want. This is something I want. To watch me walk to the bathroom? Not specifically. I'm relieved, she smiled, then leaned back. I'm not doing this to prove I'm the good one. I know. Do you? Yes. And you're not going to spend the week saying Owen would have come if work weren't busy? No. What are you going to say? That he didn't come? She nodded once. It was not a victory, it was a fact, and we let it remain one. We left the house at 5:40 the next morning. The streets were dark and damp. Mara drove my truck because her car sat too low, and I objected to being folded into a sedan on my first day with a manufactured knee. At the hospital, a woman behind the registration desk asked my full name and date of birth 6 times in 40 minutes. Nobody accused her of confusion. Mara stayed beside me through registration, lab work, and the preoperative nurse's explanation of what would happen to my clothes. I changed into a gown that closed through a combination of snaps, strings, and institutional indifference. My hearing aids went into their charger inside a labeled plastic bag. Without them, the room softened. Voices in the hallway became indistinct. Machines beeped at a respectful distance. The nurse asked who would drive me home. Mara Rowan, I said. And who will be staying with you? Mara for the first few days. Then I have neighbors and friends. Do you have a medical power of attorney? Yes, but we're not calling him unless something goes sideways. Mara raised an eyebrow. Who is it? You. Since when? 3 years ago. You didn't tell me. You signed it. I signed several papers. That one had a title. She opened her mouth, then closed it. The nurse glanced between us. Family communication is excellent, I said. She marked something on the clipboard. Dr. Warren came in wearing blue surgical clothes and drew his initials on my right leg. I'm glad you're labeling it, I said. So am I. Do people try to switch? Only for the cafeteria food. He left. The anesthesiologist arrived, asked the same questions, and explained the nerve block. I tried to listen, but without the hearing aids, some words disappeared behind his mask. Mara repeated the important parts without making a performance of it. A commotion started in the hallway. I heard a man's voice, sharp and familiar. Mara heard it too. Oh no, she said. Owen appeared in the doorway. He wore dark pants and a white shirt with the collar open. His hair looked as if he had dried it with both hands while driving. Claire stood behind him, one hand still wrapped around her car keys. Owen looked at the gown, the IV, the initials on my knee. You're having surgery today? I stared at him. Yes. You said August 17th. It is August 17th. I thought it was next month. August is this month. I know what month it is. Nobody said anything. Claire touched his arm. I asked whether you were going to the hospital. He didn't know what I meant. Owen pulled out his phone. You left one voicemail. 5 weeks ago? I didn't listen to the whole thing. The room became very still. Mara looked away first. Owen's face changed as he heard himself. I saw it was from you, he said. We weren't talking. I thought it was about the table. So you deleted it? I saved it. That's better? I listened this morning. After Claire told you. Yes. The nurse stepped into the hall, saying she would give us a minute. Claire followed her after telling Owen she would be in the waiting room. Mara stood. I'm getting coffee, she said. You hate hospital coffee, I told her. I need to hate something simpler. She left us alone. Owen shut the door. You planned an operation without telling me. I told you. You buried it in a voicemail when you knew we weren't speaking. I called. You chose not to answer. You could have texted. You told me you were done. With the table. I wasn't sure. His eyes flicked toward the IV line in my arm. You thought I meant I was done with you? I considered it. How could you think that? How could you delete a message without hearing it? I didn't delete it. Then how could you save it for 5 weeks? I was angry. So was I. He paced to the window and back. Who's taking care of you? Mara, Leonard, Ruth, Dennis, and Lester are covering different days. Lester? Yes. The man from the hardware store is helping after your surgery. He's not lifting me into a bathtub, if that's what worries you. This isn't funny, it's a little funny. What about me? I looked at him. What about you? I'm your son. I know. You made a whole schedule without even asking when I was available. That was intentional. His mouth tightened. You're punishing me. No? Yes. The table wasn't enough, so now you've recruited everybody you know to prove you don't need me. The accusation landed because part of it was true. I had wanted a schedule I could trust. I had also felt a mean, private satisfaction each time I filled a space without calling Owen. I didn't arrange surgery to punish you, I said. That isn't what I said. No, but I did want you to see that I have people. Why? Because you asked who I could possibly make plans with. I didn't say possibly. You meant it. You always know what I mean, right? The line came back at me. I rubbed the edge of the blanket between my fingers. Part of me wanted you to feel left out, I said. Owen stopped pacing. I'm not proud of that. But you did. I made safe arrangements. The rest came along with it. You could have asked me. I have asked you. For the table. For Saturdays. For Thanksgiving. For a ride to the first orthopedic appointment I canceled because you couldn't come. I never asked you to cancel. I know. I made your schedule more important without being asked. That was my mistake. He looked confused then. Genuinely confused. So, you're blaming me for something you did? I'm telling you, I'm not doing it again. I would have come today. You didn't listen to the message. You should have made sure I knew. I am done making sure you know things you choose not to hear. His eyes dropped to my hearing aid bag. That's convenient. Yes, I said. It is. The door opened an inch, and the nurse asked whether we needed more time. No, Owen said. Yes, I said. She closed it again. Owen went to the chair Mara had been using. I worry about you constantly. Then you're wasting a lot of energy. How can you say that? Because worry has become your substitute for knowing me. I know you. Name the people helping me next week without looking at a list. I know their names now. What does Dennis do? Retired mechanic. What does Ruth hate on sandwiches? He stared at me. Mayonnaise? I said. She says it tastes like wet paint. What does that prove? That there are ordinary facts about my life you don't know. I live 45 minutes away. Mara lives 2 hours away. His face hardened. I regretted the comparison immediately. Don't, he said. You're right. No. Finish it. Mara comes. Mara listens. Mara remembered the surgery. Congratulations. You finally figured out which child is worth the trouble. That isn't what I meant. It's what you said. I spent years acting as if her presence didn't count because yours was harder to get. I'm trying to stop. And now mine doesn't count. Your being here counts. I had to find out from Claire. You found out from me. You ignored it. He stood so quickly the chair scraped the floor. A knock came, and the anesthesiologist opened the door. We need to get started. Owen looked at the IV, then at me. Do you want me to leave? It was the first direct question he had asked. No? His shoulders lowered slightly. I don't need you to manage anything, I said. Mara is driving me home. The schedule stays. But you can be here. As what? My son? He sat again. The anesthesiologist adjusted something in the IV. Warmth moved up my arm. Mara came back without coffee. Claire stood beside her. They entered quietly. The ceiling began to drift. My last clear memory before surgery was Owen reaching toward my hand, then hesitating. I turned my palm upward. He took it. When I woke, the room had changed and my knee felt like it belonged to an angry machine. Mara was asleep in the chair beside the bed, chin against her chest. Claire's green sweater hung over the back of another chair. Owen sat near the window with his laptop open, speaking quietly into his phone. No, he said. Move the meeting. My father had surgery. He looked over and saw my eyes open. Relief crossed his face. For one warm, medicated second, it felt like an answer. Then he closed the laptop, came to the bed, and asked, Did they give you your hearing aids back? Even half asleep, I knew what he was doing. He had found an emergency again, and emergencies were where he loved me best. They're in the bag, I said. Owen found the charger in the plastic bin with my clothes. His hands were careful as he opened it, though he held the left hearing aid backward at first. I can do it. You have an IV in your hand. My ears remain independent. He placed the charger on the rolling table. I put the hearing aids in myself. The room returned all at once. The air system, shoes in the hallway, Mara breathing through her mouth in the chair. Owen's voice sharpened. How's the pain? Fine. A nurse standing behind him laughed. Don't ask men his age that question, she said. Use a number. 0, I said. She stepped closer to the bed. Mr. Rowan, your face says 7. My face is dramatic. Your blood pressure agrees with your face. Owen leaned over the rail. Do you want more medication? I want coffee. You can have both, the nurse said. This isn't a character test. She gave me something through the IV. Owen watched the label, the dose, and the exact time. You don't have to memorize it, I said. I'm not. He was. Mara woke when a physical therapist arrived and announced I would be walking. He just had surgery, Owen said. That's why he's walking, the therapist replied. She helped me sit up. The room tilted, my stomach turned, and the angry machine attached to my leg sent a hot line from my knee to my hip. Owen moved toward me. The therapist raised one hand. Let him find his balance. I'm right here, he said. I know. That was the problem and the comfort of him. He was always right there when there was a rail to lower or a body to catch. They strapped a belt around my waist and put a walker in front of me. I stood. Calling what happened next, walking would have been generous. I moved the walker, dragged one foot forward, then persuaded the other to follow. Owen watched as if I were crossing a highway blindfolded. At the door, I looked back. Did they give me my hearing aids? His face changed. They're in, he said quietly. I touched my right ear. The device was there. The pain medication had softened the room around the edges. I could not remember putting it in, though it had happened less than 10 minutes earlier. All right, I said. Nobody made more of it. That mattered. An hour later, I asked Mara when we were leaving. Tomorrow morning, I thought today. The nurse explained it. When? Before the therapist came. I looked toward Owen. He did not exchange glances with Mara. He did not take out his phone or say, "This is what I've been talking about." You were half asleep, he said. I barely heard it either. I knew he was lying. Owen heard instructions like they were addressed by name. I let him. By the following morning, I had walked the hallway twice and learned how to climb a practice step with the walker. Up with the good leg, down with the operated leg. The physical therapist repeated it until I wanted to explain to her that staircases had existed before she was born. Discharge required another stack of instructions. Mara took notes. Owen took photographs of the medication schedule. Claire packed my clothes. I contributed by remaining alive. In the parking garage, Mara pulled my truck to the entrance. Owen stood beside the wheelchair. I can drive him, he said. It's his truck, Mara replied. I can drive his truck. I'm already driving it. I meant I can take him home. The plan is for me to take him. I understand the plan. Then why are we discussing it? Claire stepped between them. Because neither of you can let another adult open a car door without making it symbolic. I held up one hand. A hospital orderly pushed my wheelchair closer to the truck. Mara drives, I said. Owen follows if he wants. Claire rides with whichever person is least likely to lecture. Claire opened Mara's passenger door. Decision made. Getting into the truck took longer than the drive should have. My knee would not bend enough. The seat was too high, and every person nearby had an idea. Owen finally stood back and let the orderly guide me. At home, I found my front steps equipped with a temporary rail Dennis had installed while I was at the hospital. Ruth had placed a pot of yellow flowers beside the door. Lester had taped a handwritten sign to the walker waiting inside. Speed limit 3 miles per hour. Owen read it. They've done a lot. Yes, I can see that. His tone made me feel accused for a second. Then I recognized something else in it. He was impressed. Ruth arrived with chicken soup before we had removed my shoes. Leonard carried in bread. Dennis came through the back door with a bag of ice. Lester called to ask whether I had survived, and if so, whether the hospital had returned all original parts. Owen stood in my kitchen while people entered, put things where they belonged, and left without asking permission to inspect the refrigerator. He did not know how to join them. That afternoon, he changed the sheets in the spare room, even though Mara said they were clean. He lined up my medications on the counter, then stopped before touching the green organizer. Can I set these up? He asked. Mara looked at me. Yes, I said. With me. We sat at the kitchen table and read every label aloud. The pain medication could be taken every 6 hours. The blood thinner came once each evening. A stool softener entered the discussion despite my objections to its public status. Owen wrote the schedule on a whiteboard Ruth had placed by the refrigerator. When he finished, he handed me the marker. Check it. I did. The evening blood thinner was listed at 6. I preferred 8. Change this. He erased the 6 and wrote 8. No argument. Claire watched from the doorway. At 7, Owen began talking about staying overnight. Mara is here, I said. I know. The spare room is hers. I can take the couch. I don't need 2 people. What if she needs help? Mara folded her arms. He had one knee replaced, not his entire personality. Owen looked at Claire. You can go home. I'll stay. Claire's jaw tightened. I stepped in before the argument found a larger room. Go home with your wife. I'm trying to help. And you did. I can do more. That doesn't mean more is needed. He stared at the whiteboard. You let everybody else make a schedule, because I asked them. Right. The word held enough resentment to start another fight. My knee throbbed. The medication had made my mouth dry, and the hearing aids seemed to amplify every cabinet door. Owen, he looked at me. Thank you for coming to the hospital. Some of the tension left his face. You scared me. I know. I almost missed it. Yes. I'm sorry I didn't listen to the message. Thank you. He glanced toward Mara, then back to me. I'll come tomorrow. Dennis is here tomorrow. Then I'll come Thursday. Lester is Thursday morning. What time does he leave? Before lunch. I'll come at 1. I waited for a condition, a maybe, a client event hiding around the corner. 1, I said. He and Claire left together. Mara watched through the front window until their car was gone. That was progress, she said. Which part? He asked before touching the pills. The family standard has collapsed. She turned toward me. Did you mean it when you thanked him? Yes. Good. Stop supervising my gratitude. Take your medication. Recovery was not dignified. The first night, I needed Mara to lift my operated leg onto the bed. At 2 in the morning, I could not get comfortable and snapped at her for placing the pillow wrong. At 4, I apologized. At 6, I told her I had not slept. She informed me that neither had she. The next afternoon, I tried to carry coffee while using the walker. The cup tipped, hot coffee struck my hand, and Mara took it away. I can carry a cup. You just demonstrated otherwise. I need to learn. You need a travel mug. I own mugs. Then one of them is getting a lid. Dependence arrived in small humiliations. Socks, ice packs, a dropped television remote 6 inches beyond reach. I had spent years entering other people's houses and making hard things look simple. Now, I could not bring a plate from the counter to the table without planning the route. Mara never said I told you so. She did something worse. She helped only when I needed it. On Thursday morning, Lester drove me to physical therapy. He told the therapist I had been complaining excessively and should receive additional exercises. I hate you, I said. Good. Strong emotions improve circulation. He left at 11:30. At 12:55, I looked through the front window. At 1, nobody was in the driveway. At 1:05, I picked up my phone. At 1:10, a car door closed. Owen came in carrying 2 sandwiches from a deli I liked and no groceries. Traffic, he said. You're 10 minutes late. I know. I waited. I should have called, he added. Yes. He placed the sandwiches on the table. Turkey, Swiss, no mayonnaise. That's Ruth who hates mayonnaise. I know. Yours has mustard. He had remembered something ordinary. We ate in the living room. He did not ask to see my pill organizer. He did not inspect my bandage. For nearly 20 minutes, he talked about a man at work who used the phrase circle back so often that Owen had begun keeping count. Then he looked toward the back window. How's the table? Covered. Claire still doesn't want it. I know. She's mad at me. I'm not discussing your marriage. I'm not asking you to. You're facing me while saying it. He rubbed his palms together. I told people I was working on it because I liked how it sounded. That seems worth telling Claire. I did. And she asked why I didn't like actually doing it. I had no answer that would not sound like judgment. Owen stood. Can I see it? I looked at the walker, then at the back door. You'll have to carry that down the step. He took the walker without comment. The workshop smelled closed up. Dust lay across the benches, and the canvas had not moved since before surgery. Owen uncovered the table. He picked up the practice block with the butterfly outline. The pencil marks were still clear. "What chisel do I use?" he asked. "The 1/4 inch." He found it in the rack. "You'll need a mallet." He took one from the drawer, placed the block on the bench, and raised the chisel. "Stop!" He froze. "You're starting on the line," I said. "You'll bruise the edge." Owen lowered the tool. I moved beside him with the walker. "Start inside and work toward it. Shallow cuts." He looked at the pencil outline, then at me. "How many pieces of scrap am I going to ruin?" "As many as it takes." He set the chisel inside the line. For once, neither of us looked at the clock. The first cut was too deep. Owen knew it before I said anything. The chisel sank with a sharp pop, and a sliver lifted beyond the pencil line. "Damn it, it's scrap. I know it's scrap." "Then don't swear at it like it damaged the table." He repositioned the chisel and struck harder. Too much. He put down the mallet. "Do you want to do this?" My hand had already moved toward the tool. I stopped. "No, you keep reaching for it. Habit. I can't learn if you take it every time I'm bad at it." "You're not bad at it. You're new. That is not how your face says it." I pulled Owen's stool over and sat, keeping my right leg straight. The physical therapist would have objected to the stool, the concrete floor, and most choices I had made since entering the workshop. "Take shallower cuts," I said. "The wood is going to tell you where it wants to split. It's wood. It doesn't tell me anything. You have to listen." He glanced at my hearing aids. "That joke is beneath you," I said. "I didn't say it. Your face did." He started again. The recess became less ugly. Not good, but less ugly. Owen worked slowly, turning the block, shaving the sides, checking the butterfly key against the opening. The key rocked because the bottom was uneven. "Where's it high?" I asked. He held it toward the light. "Left side? Find out." He rubbed a pencil across the bottom of the key, pressed it into the recess, and removed it. Graphite transferred at 2 high spots. A smile appeared. "That's clever. It's approximately 300 years old. Still clever." He shaved the marks and tried again. The key seated halfway. Owen looked at me. "Keep going." He stayed until 4:20. When he left, the first practice block had a chipped edge, a crooked recess, and a butterfly key fitted tightly enough that I had to use pliers to remove it. He placed it on the shelf instead of throwing it away. "I'll come next Thursday," he said. I looked at him. 1 o'clock, he added. "I'll call if that changes." "Good. Don't practice without me. I know how. I mean, don't start the real one." "I won't." He stood beside the covered table, hands in his pockets. "I'm glad the surgery went okay." "So am I." I should have listened to the message. "Yes." He nodded, accepting that I wasn't going to soften it for him. At the door, he turned. "Did you really think I meant I was done with you?" "I didn't know." "I didn't." "All right." I was angry about the table. "I know." He gave me a look. "The tone again?" I asked, less than before. He left. The following Thursday, Owen arrived at 12:58 with another deli sandwich and a box of scrap oak he had bought himself. Half the pieces were red oak instead of white, but I did not tell him until he had arranged them proudly across the bench. "How can you tell?" he asked. "The grain. They both say oak. Cats and tigers are both cats. This is wood, Dad." Which one of us bought the wrong kind? He returned the red oak and kept the white. The next week, he called on Tuesday to say Thursday would not work because of a meeting. Saturday morning, he asked, "I'm helping Leonard reinstall the cabinets. Sunday after 2. I'll be there at 2. He arrived at 1:50. I noticed. I did not celebrate. The practice blocks multiplied across the shelf. Some keys were loose. Others sat proud. One split when he drove it in against the grain. Owen began to understand why I had refused to do the work for him, and why I had wanted him there in the first place. My knee improved by degrees too small to appreciate. Walker, cane, careful steps without either. The first time I walked into the workshop without assistance, Owen looked down at my feet. No cane, in the kitchen. "Should you?" He stopped. "What?" I asked. "Nothing." That didn't look like nothing. "I was going to tell you to use it. And you know where it is." I sat before my knee could make his restraint look foolish. Claire did not come with him. He mentioned her less than I expected. When he did, it was in practical fragments. Claire had changed a light fixture. Claire was working late. Claire wanted the stain lighter than the samples he had brought home. One Sunday, he sanded for an hour before saying, She still doesn't believe I'll finish this. Will you? Yes. Then keep going. You could tell her I've been coming. I'm not providing attendance reports. I'm not asking for a report. You're asking me to improve your grade. He switched off the sander. I've apologized. To her? Yes. For lying or for getting caught? Both. That second one isn't useful. He removed his dust mask. This is why people don't tell you things. Because I answer, because you turn every mistake into a lesson. I'm teaching you. Woodworking, not marriage. Fair. The words surprised him. I took a drink of water. Your mother used to say the same thing. That you turned everything into a lesson? That I could make an apology feel like an oral exam. What did you do when she said that? Explained why she was wrong? Owen laughed, then tried to stop. I'm serious. That makes it better. Mara arrived near the end of that session. She stepped into the workshop carrying 2 coffees and stopped when she saw Owen at the sander. Well, she said, a documented sighting. Owen pulled down his dust mask. Good to see you too. She handed me a coffee. Why does he get one? Owen asked. He knew I was coming. You texted me, I said. And I remembered. Mara looked at the table. The top had been sanded smooth, the old finish gone from every edge. The real butterfly was traced beneath the split corner, but not yet cut. This is it? She asked. Owen frowned. What did you expect? Something grander. Dad has destroyed several holidays over this. I did not destroy holidays. You revised their historical record. She walked around the table. Owen watched her. Are you here to check on him? I'm here to visit. He looked at me. I said nothing. Mara examined the practice blocks on the shelf. Which one is yours? All of them. They're terrible. They improve from left to right. She moved along the shelf. Oh, she said. They do. Owen's shoulders loosened by a fraction. We ordered pizza for dinner. The 3 of us sat at my kitchen table, which had not held both of them at once in almost 2 years. Conversation moved carefully. Mara asked Owen about work without sounding like a prosecutor. Owen asked about Cleveland without implying she lived on another continent. I let silence happen without filling it with explanations for either of them. When Owen left, Mara stayed at the table. You thanked him 4 times, she said. He drove here. So did I. You arrived today. Correct. Thank you. She smiled, but her eyes remained serious. I meant what I said before, she told me. I don't want Owen's old position. There are no positions. There have always been positions. I rubbed my knee. She waited. I'm glad you came, I said. Not because I needed anything. Not because you're dependable. I like having you here. Her face softened. That sounded painful. It was terrible. You'll improve from left to right. Claire returned to the workshop the first Saturday in October. She wore the same faded green shirt and brought Ruth's cabinet door, even though it had been hanging successfully for weeks. I needed an excuse, she said. Owen stood on the opposite side of the table, fitting the butterfly key. He looked more nervous seeing her than he had before my surgery. Claire inspected the practice blocks. You kept the bad ones, she said. I was told Scrap doesn't deserve verbal abuse. Sounds wise. Don't encourage him, I said. She placed the cabinet door against the wall and approached the table. The butterfly recess was nearly finished. Owen had cut inside the line, then pared the edges carefully. One side was slightly wider than the other. Claire touched the split. Can I help now? Owen looked at me. It's your table, I said. She smiled. That answer has changed. I handed her sandpaper. We worked together for most of the afternoon. Claire eased the sharp edges by hand while Owen finished the recess and I prepared the glue. Nobody made an announcement about their marriage. At one point, Owen asked her whether she wanted coffee. She said yes. He made it without asking me how. When Claire stepped inside to wash dust from her hands, Owen tested the butterfly key. It fit almost perfectly. Almost. The right edge seated. The left remained high by less than a 1/16 of an inch. He pressed harder. Don't! It's close. That is when people break things. He removed it and found a high spot. His phone rang on the bench. Owen glanced at the screen. Work. Answer it. I can call back. Answer it. He took the call outside. I heard him tell someone he was unavailable and would review the numbers Monday. He did not explain why. When he returned, he picked up the chisel. That could have been important, I said. It can be important Monday. I watched him shave the high spot. You used to come every Tuesday, I said. He did not look up. After the divorce. Yes. I thought you were going to stop getting out of bed. I got out of bed at noon. I was adjusting my schedule. You ate crackers for dinner. They were good crackers. You weren't okay. No. The word stopped his hands. I had never admitted it to him that plainly. You needed me then, he said. Yes. But you never said it. No, you complained about the porch light. You asked me to look at the furnace. You kept finding things. I didn't know how to ask you to sit with me. He set down the chisel. And then you got better. Mostly. You stopped asking. I thought I was releasing you. It felt like I'd been useful, and then I wasn't. I looked toward the kitchen, where water ran while Claire washed her hands. You knew what to do when I was in trouble, I said. I still do. That's why you looked relieved at the hospital. He frowned. You had a job, I said. Phone calls, medication, meetings to move. You knew who you were. You make that sound selfish. I don't think it is. Not entirely. Generous. You came because you were scared for me. That part is real. He picked up the butterfly key and rolled it between his fingers. At Dr. Shah's office, I said, were you hoping she'd find something? His eyes lifted to mine. No. I waited. Owen looked at the penciled lines on the practice block. I wanted an explanation. For what? For why talking to you had gotten so difficult. You changed the dates. I know. You stopped coming. I know. The words sounded different in his voice. He continued. When Denise called, I thought you were really sick. Then I got there, and you were making jokes. You didn't need me. You barely wanted me. But I had all these examples in my head. So you brought them to Dr. Shah. If you were declining, then I wasn't just a son who hadn't visited. I was the one noticing, the one trying to do something. The workshop seemed very quiet. He looked ashamed, but he did not look away. I made your absence into my illness, I said. Yes. The honesty hurt more than another argument would have. And I gave you repairs because asking for your company felt weak. Yes. Claire stood in the doorway. I did not know how long she had been there. Owen looked at her. I'm sorry, he said. She did not rescue him. I know, she answered. The butterfly key still sat high on one side. Owen placed it in the recess and pressed gently. Can we hide the repair? He asked. Not completely. Could you? I could replace the part of the corner, match the grain, make it harder to see, but we'd lose original wood. Yes. He ran his thumb over the seam. Then leave it, he said. I looked at my son. Claire moved beside him and put her hand over his. We had not glued anything yet. The split was still open, the key still removable, and the table could still fail if we rushed the work. But for the first time, all three of us were looking at the same damage, and nobody was pretending it wasn't there. We left the key loose that afternoon. Glue would turn a conversation into a permanent decision, and none of us trusted ourselves enough to make one while our nerves were still exposed. Owen placed the butterfly in a paper cup so it would not disappear. Claire wrote, "Do not throw away" on the cup, then added, "This means you, Owen." I don't throw things away, he said. You threw away your father's voicemail without listening to it. I saved it. For 5 weeks. I think we've covered this. Claire handed him the marker. Write your own warning. He wrote, "Expensive wood thing," and put the cup on the highest shelf. They left together, not holding hands, not fighting. It was less cinematic and more promising than either. Owen came back Sunday. Claire joined us after lunch. We tested the key one final time, then removed it and spread glue through the recess. You only need a thin coat, I told Owen. He brushed on enough to waterproof a deck. Thin, I repeated. It's wood glue. The extra squeezes out. The extra becomes your afternoon. He wiped some away, seated the butterfly, and placed a block of scrap over it. Now what? Drive it. He lifted the mallet, gently. You just said drive it. I didn't say attack it. The first tap started the key. The second brought it halfway down. A small line of glue rose around the edges. Owen paused. Keep going. Tap by tap, the butterfly settled into the oak until its surface sat just above the corner. Claire watched from the other side of the table, with both hands on the top. When the key was fully seated, Owen exhaled. That's it? That's it. It felt more significant. Most competent work looks smaller when it's done. We wiped away the glue and clamped the split. Owen checked the pressure twice. Claire ran one finger beside the repair without touching it. You can see it, she said. You'll always see it, I told her. Good. Owen looked at her. She met his eyes. I mean it. The glue cured overnight. I did not touch it until Owen returned Tuesday after work. He arrived at 6:15 carrying takeout from a barbecue place and changed into an old shirt in the workshop bathroom. You came on a weekday, I said. Tuesday is a weekday, yes. You hate driving out after work. I hate a lot of things I still do. That sounds like Claire. She's had an influence. We removed the clamps. The split held. Owen planed the butterfly flush, then sanded it through 3 grits. The repair darkened slightly beneath a wipe of the mineral spirits, revealing the shape across the grain. It looked deliberate without pretending to be decoration. Claire will like that, he said. Do you? He rubbed the smooth corner. Yes. The table required more weeks. There was no miracle in which one honest conversation changed Owen's calendar or my personality. He arrived late twice. The first time, he called from traffic. The second, he called from his office and admitted he had lost track of time. You can still come, I said. I won't get there until 7. I'll be in the shop. You don't have to wait. I'm choosing to. He arrived at 7:03. I criticized the stain samples until Claire accused me of inventing new shades of brown to avoid a decision. That one is too red, I said. It's called warm walnut. It's called marketing. What do you want? Something that looks like oak? It is oak. Then why are we changing it into walnut? Owen sat on the stool smiling. You stay out of this, Claire told him. I have been told repeatedly this is your table. It's our table. That was always the point. The words made him stop smiling, though not unhappily. We settled on a light amber finish that deepened the grain without hiding it. Claire applied the first coat herself. Owen did the second. I found a drip beneath one apron and almost corrected it before they arrived. I left it. Owen found it within 10 minutes. You saw this, he said. I did. Why didn't you fix it? It's yours. He lay on the floor with a scraper and removed the hardened edge. I liked you better when you secretly did everything. No, you didn't. No, he said. I didn't. My knee strengthened. I stopped using the cane outside the house. At physical therapy, I bent the joint to an angle the therapist called excellent and I called adequate. Dr. Warren cleared me for driving, then for light shop work, though he continued to object to ladders. Owen attended none of those appointments. I told him what happened afterward. He believed me. That change was so ordinary I nearly missed it. Mara came for a weekend when the table was ready for its final coat. Owen was already in the workshop when she arrived. She examined the butterfly. Better than the practice pieces. High praise, he said. Did Dad redo it after you left? No, I said. Mara looked at me. I was asking him. He did not redo it, Owen said. She studied the repair again. It's good. Thank you. They stood side by side, uncomfortable with sincerity. Mara picked up the first practice block from the shelf, the one with the chipped edge. You should keep this. I was planning to. Why? So I don't start telling people I got it right on the first try, she smiled. That could become a family policy. We ate dinner at my kitchen table. Owen told Mara he was sorry for calling her to monitor me. I was scared, he added. She took a drink of water. That explains the first call. I know. And the others? I liked having somebody else confirm I was right. You didn't pick the best somebody, no. And you don't get to call me only when Dad is a problem. I know. I moved in my chair. Both of them looked at me. Continue, I said. This is delightful. Mara ignored me. If you want a relationship with me, call me when nothing is wrong, she told him. Owen nodded. I can do that. Don't promise while sitting at Dad's table. You people become unreliable around furniture. He laughed. The table was ready to move on a cold Saturday morning. Dennis and Leonard brought moving blankets. Lester arrived with straps and announced he had come strictly to supervise because his back was a historic structure. Claire had cleared the dining room at her house. Owen removed the door from its hinges to give us more space. We carried the table base in first, then the top. My knee held, though everyone shouted instructions at me. Watch the step, Owen said. I can see it. Turn left. I know where your dining room is. Lift your side. My side is lifted. Lester stood on the walkway drinking coffee. You're all doing great, he called. Your contribution is overwhelming, I told him. Leadership often looks passive. The top entered without striking a wall, which disappointed Dennis because he had predicted a damaged door frame. We set it on the base and installed the bolts. Owen lay beneath the table, tightening them, while Claire and Mara removed the moving blankets. Mara had driven from Cleveland for the first dinner, though she warned us not to make an event out of her reliability. When Owen emerged, Claire handed him a damp cloth. "Wipe the footprints. Those are Dennis's. Dennis isn't married to me. He cleaned them." The table filled the room differently than it had filled my workshop. Under the dining room light, the oak carried a soft amber glow. Small marks remained if you knew where to look. A dark line ran beside the butterfly at the repaired corner. Owen's first imperfect sanding pass had left a shallow wave near one edge. Claire had insisted we keep it. She placed her hand there. "It's beautiful." Owen looked at me. I shook my head before he could say anything. "You answer." He turned to Claire. "I'm glad you like it." "You finished." We finished. She waited. Owen glanced at the repair. "My dad did the hard parts at the beginning," he said. Then he stopped letting me say that counted as doing it with him. Claire's mouth moved into a small smile. "He taught me the rest," Owen continued, "mostly by refusing to rescue it after I made a mistake. That sounds difficult for him. It nearly killed him." "Finish tightening the bolts," I said. "They're tight. Check them." He smiled and went beneath the table again. Claire came beside me. "Thank you," she said. "For what? Not finishing it on time." I looked across the room at Owen's legs sticking out beneath the apron. That was the easier part. Dinner was roast chicken, potatoes, green beans, and expensive bread Claire claimed was ordinary. Ruth and Leonard joined us, along with Lester and Dennis. The table seated 8 comfortably if Lester did not spread his elbows, which he did. There was no anniversary toast, no speech about family. We ate. Leonard told the story of the storm, improving the size of the tree with every sentence. Dennis corrected his measurements. Ruth told Claire the repaired cabinet door closed better than it had before the damage. At one point, Lester tapped the butterfly with his finger. "Eli, you cut this?" Owen answered before I could. "I did." Lester leaned closer. "Not bad. Thank you. Little wide on this edge." "I know." Owen did not look at me for protection. Mara sat across from me. When she caught my eye, she raised her glass slightly. I raised mine back. After the others left, the 4 of us cleared the table. Claire wrapped leftover chicken for me. Mara washed serving dishes. Owen loaded the dishwasher incorrectly, and Claire removed 3 plates while he watched. "Why take them out if they fit?" he asked. "Because water is not magic. It needs access. It sprays everywhere. It sprays where you've left space." I put on my coat. Owen followed me to the front hall. "You okay to drive?" "Yes." "Your knee?" "Still attached." He nodded. "I can come by tomorrow." "Why?" His face changed. I heard how it sounded. "Not why would you come," I said. "I mean, do we have plans?" "No." "Then you don't have to." "I know." The answer was simple. It did not accuse me of rejection or ask me to reward the offer. "I'll be home after 10, I said. "Ruth wants help with a drawer. I thought her cabinets were fixed. She finds things. I'll come around 11. Call first." "I will." He did. At 10:30 the next morning, Owen called to say he was leaving his house. He arrived at 11:20 with 2 coffees and no groceries, medical equipment, tools, or damaged furniture. I met him in the driveway. "What did you bring? Coffee? What needs work?" "Nothing." Inside, the kitchen felt larger without the oak table pieces stacked against walls or finish samples on the counter. The blue pill organizer was still in the hall closet. I had considered giving it back to Owen, but decided some objects were happier retired. We carried the coffee to the workshop. A clean rectangle marked the floor where the table had stood for over a year. The practice blocks remained on the shelf, lined up from worst to best. Owen took down the first one and turned it in his hands. "What are you building next?" he asked. "I haven't decided. We could do a cabinet. We just finished a table." I didn't say today. He replaced the block. I sat on my stool. He took the one that had been empty for 11 months. For a while, we drank coffee and listened to the heater tick. There was no storm, no appointment, no unfinished project waiting between us. Owen looked around the workshop. "So," he said, "what do we do now?" "Nothing." He nodded, then he stayed.